Welcome, newcomers and true believers alike. This is the Countdown to Doomsday, an MCU watch along podcast packed to the brim with thrills and chills, twists and turns, and more supervillains than you can shake a bionic arm at. I'm your host, Jake, and as always, I'm joined by my co host, the winter podcaster herself, Sammy.
Oh my God, I love that name.
And we've got a super secret special guest, a returning Nerdy Up North alumni. Is that right?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
that's a word.
But yes, we have Lauren. Do you want to tell people a little bit about yourself? But you're an
Hi.
actual factual comic book
Yeah.
store person, which is pretty cool.
Yes. So I am a lifelong nerd ever since I got addicted to, the X-Men animated series back in my younger days. But
Oh
I've
yeah,
also worked in a comic book store for the last 13 years. My
on the
main
front
specialty is,
lines.
yeah, frontline. Um, selling the crack as it was. But yeah, I it's given me a lot of opportunity to learn some fun things about comics and characters and meet some fun, interesting people.
A
And
Well,
rogues gallery, if you will.
yeah,
well,
I've
if you want to learn more about Lauren's likes and dislikes of comics, we actually have a episode with Lauren on the Nerdy Up North
yes.
podcast
Yeah,
where we did it for Free Comic Book Day.
yep. And
Yes.
still stands as a tutorial of what to do on Free Comic Book
Mhm.
Day. And we
Yeah,
did it last year finally.
we
Yeah,
We're
did
gonna
it.
and we're
free
gonna do it
comic
again.
free comic book day, for those who don't know, is an international celebration of comic books. It is held in most good comic book stores around the world on the first Saturday of May.
Yes, which
You
is
get to pick up some free comics, which will either be preludes into the big events of the summer, or some fun indie titles that you might not otherwise get to try out. So
Yeah.
put it in your calendar.
it's the 5th of May this year because last year it was the 4th of May because
Mhm.
it was May the 4th. We had a very, very nerdy day out.
Oh yeah, I think
Yeah,
we did get a Star Wars comic as well.
we did.
Yes,
But I can't remember much about it, sadly. I can't
there will
remember
be
which one
another
it
one
was.
this year.
I think the one I liked the most was the weird Johnny Quest, like little
Oh,
intro thing
really?
where it was
Oh,
like
mine was
Johnny
my Archie
Quest in
one.
the modern day, like they got time traveled, and that seemed quite interesting. But yeah, so we're finally here, Sammy. We've made it to
Yes.
the Winter Soldier, what everyone says is the best Marvel movie.
Because it is.
Yeah.
I'll do the disclaimer so we can
Mhm.
really, because we have been so excited to get to this point and to be
Giddy.
able to talk about this movie. We have non-stop messaged each other all day with
Yeah. Did you know
we
Steve did this?
really, really have. Cool. Everything discussed in today's episode is our opinions and our opinions alone. If you'd like to discuss anything from today's episode, please come and join us on the Facebook page. You can join us in the Discord or the comment section where we can have an open discussion. But what we won't have is anyone coming for us and telling us our opinions are wrong, because we can all agree to disagree in fandom. So let's keep it fun, keep it kind, and keep the toxic behavior out of nerdism. Excelsior.
On your left.
Hey.
To the end of the
um,
line.
can I just point out, if anyone has been keeping track, finally in Sammy's comic book era.
Oh, this is the way you were starting to like
This
go to
is
the
it.
cinema.
This is where I started playing video games properly. This is where I started reading comics properly, and this is the year I met Lauren.
Yay! Oh my God,
Way.
So
really?
yes, 2014 was the year me and Lauren became internet friends.
Yay!
Um, so it's really, really special that Lauren is here today as we step back to
Yeah.
2014.
Oh my God.
Serendipity, that is.
Hmm.
Very much so. So I do have some production notes before we get into the movie and some alternative casting as well.
Okay.
Um, I say I've got some production notes. Not a great deal. It's not like this is kind of a movie that was expected to happen, expected to fall after the Avengers. It was more to do with the director because they
Yeah.
didn't have, Joss Whedon is out the door. Um, on this one anyway. So they had three candidates. One was George Nolfi, F. Gary Gray, and Anthony and Joseph Russo. And as we know, the Russo brothers got it. What I find interesting, though, is F. Gary Gray was very much considered. Now, if you don't know who he is, he's the director of Straight Outta Compton. And he actually withdrew his consideration to go and do that movie, which I personally feel that was the best move. He needed to do that movie. That movie needs to be out there, and F. Gary Gray needs to be the one to do it. So very, very pleased that the Russo brothers, well, obviously got it, but that he went on to do that.
Yeah, nobody lost out there.
No, absolutely not. This is not like a doomed production or anything like that. From what I've read, it was very standard. It's the alternative casting that's quite interesting, and especially for Sharon Carter.
Oh, your favorite.
Yes. I only tell my little funny Emily Van Camp story because it is very, very brief.
Okay.
I pissed off their fan club.
The fan club?
There is an Emily Van Camp fan club, and their page that was on Twitter blocked me and then sent me some very threatening messages, all because I said I don't like Sharon Carter. Yes.
Well, surprise, Sammy, we have the fan club right here.
Welcome. Oh my God, imagine. So in consideration for Sharon, and any one of these would have been better, Anna Kendrick.
I can see it.
Felicity Jones.
Oh.
Teresa Palmer. Alison Brie.
Too many Community people. You can't do that.
Amelia Clarke, who is Daenerys Targaryen. Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Oh.
That would have been, I think that would have been really interesting. And Elizabeth Olsen.
He got another job at least.
Would Amelia Clarke have been like really young back then?
No, she was in her Game of Thrones started in 2012. She was in the Thrones of the Throne.
Okay. Try to just got, sometimes when like 10 years is 10 years ago, but sometimes it's also 20 years ago.
Yes. Yeah. I do understand what you mean by that. But no, she would have been fine.
She's a bit busy though around that time, I would have thought. She does make it to the Marvel universe.
Yeah, because she was like really ill.
That's right.
At some point in Game of Thrones, like she had was it an brain aneurysm or something?
Something like that. I remember her being quite poorly. But as we know, Elizabeth Olsen goes on to get the role of a lifetime.
She's in this movie is technically. I don't know how that was filmed though, because sometimes the next director films the after credits thing and stuff like that.
That's true. And the next director which has the twins in it, is Age of Ultron, and that's Joss Whedon.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the cast, the alternative casting for Sharon Carter. There was another actor who went up for the role of the Falcon and ended up getting another job on the back of that, and that was Michael B. Jordan.
Okay.
He read for Falcon and then ended up getting cast as Killmonger in Black Panther in 2018. And Rumlow. There was there was 3 actors who were, and the first one I was like, nah, I can't see it. Nicholas Coster-Waldau. Jaime Lannister from Game of Thrones.
Oh no.
That's
definitely Game of Thrones hype, isn't it?
He's too cute. He couldn't play Rumlow.
I don't know. Jamie
is too much of a gentleman.
Jamie does have that dickhead side of him, though.
Oh yeah, in voice and everything, but looks wise, he's Prince Charming.
Looks wise. Yeah, no,
he looks like Prince Charming from Shrek.
And I don't think he would have came back to do a mini Civil War cameo either. No,
probably not.
So maybe it was best to pick this guy.
The other 2 was Kevin Durand and Josh Holloway.
Okay.
But it ends up going to can't think of his name off the top of my head.
I had never seen him before, I don't think, or again.
Frank Grillo. He has just done the voice in Creature Commandos as Rick Flag Senior.
Oh, right.
He actually got me to like a flag. So I was pleased about that. He also is in a werewolf movie as well, but that's for another podcast at another time.
But yeah, like I do enjoy the new additions to the cast. We'll obviously meet them as we sort of go through
Yeah.
things, but this um movie is one of, like, it's definitely like lauded over as like one of the best like ever in the series. I think when I'd seen it at the cinema, I was just like, hell yeah, that was amazing. But I don't think I was expecting like political thriller sort of like,
Espionage.
can't trust
I mean,
anybody type of movie. But I'm glad they did it.
yeah, I won't lie, this is literally one of my favorite Marvel films, possibly one of my favorite. I saw this in the cinema 8 or 9 times.
Really?
Ooh,
Yeah,
wow.
I
Wow.
was on that hype train. I was
Yeah.
mad Bucky fangirl in everything, but I kind of was expecting and hoping for the political-ish
Yeah.
side of things, because that is very easy for me to say as somebody who's read comics for decades.
Mm-hmm.
You know, somebody who cut their teeth on X-Men, like
Yes, which are very
people
political
people
if
can't
people don't know.
there's like, yeah, that, not to like verge too much into the comics because this is about the films, but there is almost misconception that Marvel are kind of like light and fluffy and everything. It's just like, well, not really. Not when you might think that, but like underneath the layers are still all this nuance and politicism. And like Peter Parker, for instance, like he's always broke.
Yeah.
Like you could laugh at that, but he's still a college age kid struggling to make ends meet, and he's
Mm-hmm.
selling photos of himself to the Daily Bugle. No, he kind of like,
As Spider-Man, not as
yeah,
Peter
like he'd
Parker.
have an
That's
OnlyFans these
weird.
days.
Yeah, but like
Yeah.
you're right though, because like Peter's power set unfortunately does not help him live any easier. Like he
Right.
still has to go to bed at night and
Yeah.
stuff and has to eat.
But
If anything, he
yeah,
has to eat more because he's doing Spider-Man.
exactly. But by default, because Captain America is literally wearing the flag on
Yeah.
his shield, on his chest plate,
Mhm.
and you can't not be political
Yeah.
when
No.
you are representing a country, especially like America, where it's
Yeah.
like very ingrained into the flag, a sense of politicalness.
I think that's like very
And
much Steve at the beginning of this movie
Mhm.
is still kind of ingrained with the red, white, and the blue, and I feel by the end of it we kind
yeah,
of get the best part about Captain America from this point onwards is he never wavers who he is.
Mhm.
And you see that in Age of Ultron, Civil War.
Mhm.
You see a few things starting to kind of get away from him, especially, from Age of
Yeah.
Ultron, where he's like, language. And
Yeah.
then by, Endgame, he's like, oh shit. Like, so yeah, I love the patrioticism, can't even say the
Yeah.
word, in him at the start, but it slowly starts to kind of disintegrate by the
hmm
end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah,
that
no,
government ownership.
yeah,
And before, when he was like, he joined up in a time of war and he needed to be like this symbol of the nation, and he was good with that because it was so important
hmm
in World War II. But now he's in this new world and he's really having to balance what
yeah,
that really means. And that is something that's been back in the comics, like as far as like the 70s.
yeah,
yeah.
Like
Oh,
there's been times
especially,
when he's like
yeah.
quit or been kicked out, or somebody else, like that's how US Agent kind of came to be,
Oh, yeah.
because Steve wouldn't accept what the government was doing, so they brought in their own man.
yeah.
Yeah, like the Iron Patriot, as we've seen in the
hmm
movies already.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
I do love, like, Steve never says like he wants to, like, I mean, he does want to go to war to like preserve freedom and stuff, but you'll notice he
hmm
never in the movie says anything like along the lines of like, you know, to uphold like America and
All
stuff.
the
It's always
Nazis.
like,
Yeah.
it's always like, I'm going to stop bullies. Like that's,
Yeah.
he
There's
literally
always,
says that, like, you know, I don't like bullies, like no matter where they're from.
Mhm.
Like he's
Yeah.
not like, he's not nationalistic in that way.
yeah.
And
He
I'm
has his
really
own code
glad.
of honor.
Yeah, I'm glad they
Mhm.
kept him sort of like neutral and against like government surveillance on like
Yeah.
an impossible
Yeah.
scale.
Yeah, but that follows him into Civil War.
Mhm.
Yes.
That
Yeah, very
ideology
much.
that he has, it doesn't change even
Yeah.
when you get to Civil War. I mean, Age of Ultron, you can kind of take out of the equation because it's not really looking at them points. I feel Age of Ultron kind of focuses more on Tony's moral compass and where he stands, and obviously his fears, and that's something that we've discovered a lot as we've been watching the Iron Men
Yeah.
movies. But with Cap, if you put him into Civil War, he's very much the same person as you left him in Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what the timeline is, because I was thinking in my head, like, how does this ending sort of lead into Age of Ultron, where they're all going on missions together again?
Yeah,
Because they
this-
don't really touch on that. But this is 2
No.
years after the Battle of New York, I believe,
Yeah.
give or take. So where we pick him up, like you were saying, is just back in the army, like, well, you know, working for Shield, back sort of following orders for Nick Fury this time, so he probably feels
Mhm.
a
Bit more
little bit
safer.
better
Yeah.
temporarily.
Yeah.
A little bit
Um,
more safe.
and yeah, this is where we get the start of the running joke of on your left between him and Falcon,
Yes.
or, you know, anyone else he shows up.
Yeah, we meet Sam Wilson for the first time.
I know, and that they've got a really cute friendship in this. Like,
Yeah.
I forgot it was sort of them bonding about being like veterans, basically.
Mhm.
I know Steve's still in it, but you know, he's got that disconnect, like where he's like totally out of time, which is, you know, Sam can relate to, being like totally out of sort of. They never really
Place.
say it, but it's like Afghanistan type, you know,
Yeah.
war veteran.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
Yeah.
love those scenes between them, just sort of getting to know each other. And
And the list.
yes, oh,
Steve's
list.
list. I have
Different
it.
different depending where you watch it in the world.
I
Yes.
actually have all of it.
Can you do a quick like?
I can. Yeah. So
Down the list.
all versions is Thai food, Star Wars, Star Trek, Nirvana, Rocky 2 with a question mark, and Trouble Man soundtrack, which is what he adds. In
Yeah.
the US, there's I Love Lucy, The Moon Landing, Berlin Wall, Up and Down, Steve Jobs,
Yeah,
brackets
Apple.
Apple, and Disco. In the UK, it's the Beatles, Sean
Yeah.
Connery,
Yeah.
and Sherlock. In Australia, AC/DC, Space Travel, Steve Irwin, Skippy, the Bush Kangaroo, and Tim Tams.
Yep.
It's Italy, it's Vasco Rossi, Ferrari's victories at F1 Grand Prix, and Roberto Baggini. In France, it's the 1998 World Cup, Louis de Fume's I can't say that. The Fifth Element and Daft Punk.
Nice.
In Russia, I can't even say any of them. I'm so sorry.
Tetris.
In Brazil, it's Wagner. I can't even say Brazilian one either.
It's okay.
Sorry,
It's okay.
I'm not going to offend anybody by trying to pronounce the letters because it's all I can see with my dyslexia. It's just letters at this point.
It's an interesting Easter egg because it doesn't really make sense when you like take it away, like, because it would be the American one because that's where he lives. Like he wouldn't be.
It's the Rocky 2
Yeah.
mark.
I like how as well it's like Star Wars / Trek, like that's what he's wrote down, because it's either he wasn't sure if it's two different things or he just couldn't be bothered.
I can imagine that Feige went because Feige worked on Trek. So I can imagine Feige was like, "Can we add the Trek in there, please?
No,
not just the wars,
just the Disney owned stuff."
But yeah, the Rocky 2 bit. I was like, no, that with a question mark. I was like, where's Rocky 4? Yeah. But if you want to educate yourself on Rocky, you watch Rocky 4.
And can we just say a quick thank you to the Lords of Time for not putting Elon Musk on that list?
Oh my gosh.
Because he's already showed up on this journey.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
has. And just to point out that there is the South Korea, Spain, and Mexico, and a Latin American one as well.
Mhm.
I'm not going to go through them because it's quite a bit, but the South Korea one had Old Boy on it.
Ooh,
Can
I
you
don't think
imagine
Steve would
Captain?
have liked that.
No, Captain
Oh,
America is not going to watch Old Boy.
But he would have liked the fight
uh,
scenes, but not
yeah.
the
I mean,
ending.
maybe that's the joke, that it's
Yeah.
completely inappropriate, and that's why it's funny.
Maybe.
Well, that's the thing though. Like we've all got friends who've recommended like dumb stuff to us. Like sometimes you just get tricked by, or your friend just
Yeah.
has a wildly different view of what like your taste would be.
Yeah, I think I've learned throughout my nerdy up north journey. I feel
Yeah.
like I've learned that a lot.
Yeah, I'm sure like Dan's dropped some real clunkers on you, hasn't she, for monsters and stuff like that. Oh,
Listen,
Sammy would like this worst movie in the world.
she's not watched enough films. It's okay.
But yeah, so we're kind of straight into it, into this like covert infiltration of a tanker, which we've seen a few tanker action scenes and they've been good in the MCU. It's clearly a space that they enjoy playing in, because
Yeah,
we had that Iron Man 3 one with all the crazy action as well.
that's
I mean,
right.
I guess the beauty of the tankers is they don't have to be somewhere specific.
No, nothing in the
No,
background.
no, it can just be like generalized
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
not you don't have to explain too much.
Yeah. So this the name of this ship is the Lumerian Star, which is a tiny little Easter egg for Marvel fans because it's apparently like a rival faction of like Atlanteans. I think
Oh,
I
I
think I
actually
read
didn't
that.
know that.
So it's just a little wink and a nod, but I don't think it has anything to do with you know.
No.
No, but
Um,
Namor was one of Cap's longest allies in the comics, so
Yeah.
yes,
you know.
that's why he is another of my favorites.
I would love that. I would
And
have loved
boy,
those guys to meet and have a sort of like a really
oh
awkward
my God,
like.
you have no idea.
I have such a
Oh,
vision in my head of that encounter, but it's not the Namor we've met from Black
No,
Panther 2.
no, because like it has to be proper like oldie time
Yeah,
speak.
yeah,
That's the only
yeah.
way it feels right.
yeah.
Like
I
stop,
mean,
Submariner.
I didn't hate Black Panther 2 Namor as a version of him,
Yeah,
Mhm.
but I would still have just loved to have a proper old school.
yeah. That's what I was.
Yeah.
It's not a case of I
Psychopath with a
didn't.
widow's peak.
Yeah, it wasn't a case of I didn't
And his
like him. I
tiny
just
pants.
yes, and his little booties. Come
His little,
on,
Oh
his
his
yeah,
little
little
fluffy,
booties.
fluffy
he
wings.
had like
I mean, yes,
physical
he had the
wings.
fluffy, fluffy wings.
Yeah, but it
And
was
I
kind of
never thought
gross.
I would get to see that happening.
That's
Sorry,
true.
diversion, but
No,
Hey,
he's in it. He'll show up.
I'm just glad,
later,
like,
later
you
down
got to see the little fluffy wings
Mhm.
with him.
Steve does a really cool. I'm just gonna jump out the helicopter thing, and everyone's just like, "What?"
he just does
And he
that.
just, yeah, it's just because he's stronger than everyone else. He can
Yeah,
jump in the water. It's fine.
can take
And
it.
they show it in this movie. That is one thing that I took away from this one that was different from any time we've seen Steve on screen. He is hard as fuck.
Yeah.
Hmm.
He got his
You
ass
get to
handed
see
to
it.
him a fair few times in the Avengers. Obviously, as the first Avenger, you're just starting to get to know him. So yeah,
Hmm.
am I really paying attention to that? But in the Avengers, they didn't they didn't show you what the super soldier serum looked like.
Mhm.
They're
No,
doing this. They're doing
I
this one.
think I'm just guessing that they didn't, because it's an ensemble piece. They didn't want him to take away from probably Iron Man. They
Mhm.
didn't want him
You
to outclass
probably
Tony.
when he should, but yes, you're probably
Yeah,
right.
absolutely. The bit where Tony's like, "Oh, take off," it's like whether in
He,
the thing,
he would
chest hair
flatten him.
scratching. It's like, come on, let's go a few rounds. I'm like, I'm sorry, Steve would wipe the floor with you.
Yeah, he would absolutely flatten him. But to see him at full capacity in this movie, even
Oh yeah.
scenes where he's just running down a corridor, he still manages to parkour off a wall. Like
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
it's
Like
amazing.
I'd
love
love.
this.
Yeah, the action is so good in this like movie as well because like it's very inconsistent because obviously Marvel movies, we're switching directors, we're switching
Mhm.
choreography teams, everything, actors,
Yeah.
whatever. There's like barely any consistency to like grasp onto.
For
No, you're
real.
right.
Action wise, I would say this is probably the high point. Because you can see everything that's happening. Like there's shaky camera when it makes sense, when there's like gunfire or like, really intense stuff happening. But
Mhm.
when
Mhm.
Cap is just his like 6 guys that he needs to take out, you see
Yeah.
like every hit perfectly. And the choreography is amazing because there's so many cool flips and
Yeah.
like he takes out like 3 people at a time and you're just like, what?
And leg
Also,
crunches.
I think this film has one of my favorite soundtracks of the Marvel
Yes.
films. Like Alan Silvestri's scores are amazing in the Avengers. They're very like upbeat and
Yeah.
Yeah.
pompous almost in a good way and uplifting and everything. But the Henry Druckmann soundtrack for this film is just
Mwah.
it's like really good and it works really well with the different shifts and changes in scenes and stuff, and there's high points and moody points and it's
Yeah.
just really good.
It creates the atmosphere that you
Yeah.
need to be in, and that's the
Mhm.
same with the Avengers. You need to feel like a team, and you
Yeah.
need to
Mhm.
feel like you're rooting for a team, and there needs to be that like team spirit. This
Yeah.
one, you need to feel uncomfortable, you need to
Yeah.
feel scared, you need to feel intense, and that the music that runs through this movie captures every little bit of that.
Yeah,
So
because you can you imagine if he'd knocked all the guys out and it played like the just
I would have
wouldn't
liked
Yeah,
work.
I would have
which
liked
was
that at the
why
end.
Alan Silvestri worked really
Yeah.
well for the first Avenger because he captured that kind of hopeful feeling.
Yes,
But it wouldn't have worked in this film.
no. Oh, absolutely not. You need intense because that's where
Mm,
this movie is a bit of a roller coaster because it
yeah.
literally has you questioning, well, who the fuck do we trust?
Yeah. I'll
Yeah.
tell you who you can't trust.
Gary
George
Shandling.
St. George St. Pierre, the UFC fighter who is Batroc the Leaper. He's not
Mm.
he's not called the Leaper in the movie because
No.
they're trying to be very serious, but he does some cool jumps. But
Yeah,
Lauren, do you have a quick rundown on who Batroc the Leaper is for anyone
Um,
un,
oh,
uninitiated?
you put me on the spot.
Well, just like a quick overview of what his like comic power set would be.
Dude. Oh, no,
If you don't, that's
no.
fine. But as far as
No,
I know,
I've
he's a
gone
guy who
blank. I'm
jumps
sorry.
around.
Yeah, he
Which I find
literally.
hilarious.
I've got him, but I've also got, for some reason, Demolition Man merging in my head because it's that kind of like interchangeable.
Yeah. Oh, there's a
Aha!
guy.
I'm gonna come and get my ass handed to me. But yeah, he was French. I think they changed him to Algerian
Oh,
in the
all right.
film,
Okay. Yeah.
but he had a crazy mustache as well, and this little. I remember more about his design than I do about his powers.
Yeah, he kind of looks a
He
bit
had the
like
goggles and
Zorro-ish.
the hood and very Zutaloz. He's bouncing away now.
Yeah.
Kind of energy in the comics,
And I can
which
imagine his speech is like
yeah,
French accented speech was very
which
sensitive.
he was almost a very caricature character.
Yeah.
So
from the way you've described him, I can kind of because I generally don't know who he is. That's what I'm getting is
he
very
kind of looked like Dick Dastardly's lost brother.
Who could
that
jump really
I can
high
kind of I can yeah I can jump really high.
with his
The
spring boots.
Yeah.
the one thing I loved about this scene with Cap is the taking the helmet off.
Yeah.
That to him that makes him completely equal.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, okay, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this properly. 1 minute. Let me get my helmet off.
Yeah.
And he
I
kicks the shit out
love
of
that.
him.
And this suit, I absolutely love this suit.
Is this your favorite
my
suit?
this is my favorite suit.
Okay.
One, he wears it amazingly.
Yeah.
Two, the fitting of it, the color of it, the fact that it's like trying to establish him and not this red, white, and blue Captain America. Like
Mhm.
I just
Mhm.
this is my favorite suit.
Was it just me, or was it the lighting, or was the shields toned down in color as well for this part?
Yes.
Was
Is
it?
is
It's just It's just
Yeah.
shades of blue in this.
Yeah.
It's like it goes in every time he
Mhm.
has a mission. It goes in for a spray job.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, yeah, that was what I took from it. Like, oh, this is his like nighttime infiltration outfit. But yeah, like it does. You're right. It does look amazing on him.
Yeah.
Absolutely
He's
perfect.
and the helmet as well is perfectly fit. Even though when he takes it off, you can tell his ears have been squished for a while, that they kind of like bounce out.
His hair's messy.
Yeah, it's goofy, but it's realistic.
It works.
Like,
it really works.
It's daft, but I don't hate it because they would bounce out. Like if they had, you'd get loads of people into being like, but his ears would have been like,
yeah. Oh, his hair.
I'm sure I didn't sound like that.
But yeah, that's why in other movies we get the sort of camera cut to like perfect.
Yeah,
and then like perfect hair.
It's like Legolas's magically washed hair.
Yeah. That is one thing I did note. He wasn't very soggy when he came back on the ship. Unless he shook himself off like
he could have just shake himself off and be like, oh, that's it, I'm fine.
Yeah, because he's stronger than all of us. Natasha's also here. Sorry, we haven't mentioned her.
Oh my gosh.
With a nice hairdo.
This is actually where Natasha's, not gonna lie, I don't like MCU Natasha.
She's hit and miss for me.
She's
well.
hit and miss for me
boring,
too.
But she's really strong in this film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially on this part when she's doing a little side sneaky business, and he's like, "What are you doing on the computer?"
That's almost that, but that is Natasha.
Yeah,
like Natasha she's a sneaky sneak. She's a spy.
Yeah, this is like, it's sad, but this is literally like peak Natasha.
Yeah,
like not to jump films, but
no, this is the Black Widow. This is the Black Widow I've read.
Sean.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely, by Yelena, because that is again Natasha. That's not Yelena. That is Natasha. This is the Natasha that I read in comic books. Is just this version right here. The Smithsonian line will always crack me up when you first meet her. When Steve's doing his little on your left run, that always cracks me up. I'm looking for a fossil. I think she is our one-liners are very good in this, but Natasha is on it. How strong she is, how clever she is, and even how you get to see a bit more of a vulnerable side to it, and it's not a vulnerable side where we're like, oh, we're going to have to break her womanhood in order to make her vulnerable. It's vulnerable in the sense that she lost somebody incredibly, and she thought she lost someone incredibly important to her. And it kind of shows a slight bit of weakness, a slight bit of kink in Natasha. That's when it comes to Natasha's vulnerability, that is all you need. You do not need to break this woman down in order to go, look, she's vulnerable.
Yeah, or like when they made her like scared of the Hulk, and it's like, well, I get it. The Hulk is scary, but I feel like super spy Natasha wouldn't be scared of the Hulk. She would just get out of there.
She wouldn't show it.
But that's very classic. It was Whedon who did that, right?
It was, and it was Whedon in Age of Ultron as well.
Like, for all that he's touted as being, strong women, his strong women come out at the expense of really crappy weaknesses like that, where it's just like,
he did it
when
in
he
Age of
puts
Ultron.
like when he puts Nathan Fillion in Buffy, and he's like, this guy's gonna terrify Buffy the Vampire Slayer at the open of the season. I'm like, really? Just leaves a bad taste in your mouth.
Nathan Fillion, I will never forgive him for what he did to Widow in Age of Ultron. I will never forgive the blatant disrespect that he put on her with that whole, well, I can't have shut up. No. Oh my God, stop. No, that is not Natasha.
I feel like,
and it's just disgusting in general.
Yeah. It was. I mean, we'll get there, but I feel like that did untold damage because people still talk about that kind of side of her to this day. Like,
and it really,
whole Hulk thing
really shouldn't be. But this for me is comic Natasha.
Yeah. This is literally, like I said, sadly peak Natasha in the films, and I think you are right that it is because of what comes next in Age of Ultron.
And I love as well that Steve gets annoyed with her and stuff, like.
Yeah.
Because like that's something, because obviously Steve is like the ideal superhero in a lot of ways. but he's not perfect. Like he gets annoyed
No.
at people, and he tells people what he thinks. You know,
Mhm.
like it sort of just comes out of him. He can't like stop it because he like
Yeah.
thinks it's
Yeah.
wrong. But I love how he's got that. Like that's one of his like faults. It's like, he rarely shuts up about like how he's feeling. He just kind of but I like that they allow him to do that instead of him being like stoic and like, I know
Yeah,
everything that's
but
going on.
again, that's got a
Mm.
long kind of pedigree with like characters who'd also kind of like pick and tease him in the
Mhm.
comics, like Namor and
Yeah.
Bucky and
Yeah.
Diamondback and characters
Mm.
like that from his past where they just like make fun of him or poke him or
Yeah.
and it's just an important part of his character is to have that foil of not necessarily immaturity, but somebody who's like
No.
less serious and tries to get him to be less serious.
Yeah. He's just the best way to describe it is Cap ain't gonna put up with any bullshit. He
Yeah.
ain't put he's been asleep for 70 years.
Yeah.
Like, the time to live is now. Let's
Yeah.
talk.
And so I like how Fury describes it. He's just like, she was on a different mission than you. Like, don't worry
Mhm.
about it. Like, you were there to
Yeah.
get the hostages.
And she
She
was
was
there to do
there
something else.
to check the data. I can't quite remember what data she gets. It's like a big flash drive.
It's Shield into like Intel
Yeah.
that Shield see. I think the point is that it's secret rather than what it actually
Yeah.
is. Like it's
Yeah.
secret to him,
Mhm.
and to him, there shouldn't be any secrets.
Yeah.
We
But
don't
then
work that way.
Yeah.
but then we know because that Sitwell guy's there, who we now know as
Oh my
Hydra.
gosh, his face.
Mhm.
You want to punch him.
When she boots him off that building, I'm like, yes,
It's
leave him
great.
there.
Yes.
Leave him there. There was a character who was meant to be in this movie. I don't know if you've read anything about this. It kind of would have made sense given that we do have Widow, but Hawkeye was meant to be a character, but the Russos were like,
Yeah.
if we bring Hawkeye in, people are then going to say, well, why didn't you ring Tony? Or why didn't you ring
Yeah.
Bruce? Or why don't you like get on the phone to Asgard and get Thor down?
Yeah.
They didn't want to start
I get that.
overcomplicating things, so they
Plus,
left.
he's like the need give some room to Falcon because he deserves his own
Exactly.
little spotlight.
Yeah.
No, you're right. You're introducing a brand new character, somebody who you
Is human,
anticipate.
yeah, as well.
Yeah, that's right. And you anticipate him to be a part of Steve's world now. So wherever Steve is going to be, so is he.
Mhm.
So let's let that breathe. And I
Yeah,
do love the casting of Anthony Mackie for
Yeah.
Falcon. I think that was
Yeah.
perfectly cast. The thing is, I knew Anthony Mackie as Sam Wilson before I started reading Sam Wilson. I can't
Mhm.
not hear him when I'm reading Sam Wilson.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah, I
think I,
can't.
I think I'd seen Falcon beforehand, and he seemed a bit
Mhm.
more like sort of serious. I guess is kind of how I would have pictured his voice, like a bit more like
I
authoritative and
mean,
booming.
for
Cut the
me,
check.
he was he was serious, but like he was serious about his being Falcon, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Oh
Like
yeah,
yeah,
took his
that side
response
of him's not.
like he wasn't it wasn't like he was serious, like he took his position seriously.
yeah,
Yes.
But that's always my kind of take on him. Like very
Yeah.
much like Anthony Mackie kind of does. Like he still has a laugh, and I love when he teases Bucky in previous
I was
future pieces. They're
I've been
amazing.
I've been watching a lot of bloopers and red carpet. Like I've literally tried to get into the feel of Avengers and Marvel, and just him on the red carpet with Sebastian Stan is, oh, when he's talking about Tom Holland sitting in a comic convention just completely slagging Tom Holland off. Like it was I feel like he's one of those actors who one doesn't take things for granted. And
Mhm.
bear in mind this guy's Juilliard
Mhm.
Yeah.
alum. Like Juilliard's like the hardest school to get into. It's harder to get into Juilliard than it is to Harvard. Um,
Mhm.
and I think he's one of these actors who takes his position very seriously, as with the
Yeah.
fans. Like he feels that he has like this obligation. I think Chris Evans has done that perfect. I mean, Robert Downey Jr., RDJ is just constantly pleasing the fans.
Yeah.
I very much appreciate Anthony Mackie in this movie.
I
I
know. They
really do.
better not
And
kill him. They better not kill him in service of doom or something. You know what I mean? Like at the start of a movie.
I really hope not. And I do love how sneaky they are with like, well, I don't have superpowers, but I have this.
Yeah.
Look at
Mm,
look at my dossier, everyone. It has Falcon written on there.
mhm.
He doesn't have superpowers, but he
No.
certainly gets into action like a superpowered
Yeah.
person. He's a very lucky man. We'll say
Yeah.
that about like when you watch
Mhm.
the end of this one. But yeah, so this is where Fury shows Steve Project Insight. He takes him
Mm.
down the giant elevator and tells him a little story about his dad and stuff, which apparently is based off Sam
His
Jackson's
grandfather.
real life relative. Yeah,
His grandfather was
yeah,
a elevator.
Dorman or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but and this is where like Steve's immediately like, this is terrible, like this isn't freedom, like this is the opposite.
Yeah.
And it is a bit odd when you sort of hear Hydra's explanation of it, where they're like, oh, we pushed too hard, we realized people wouldn't accept this, but if you sort of make the world horrible, like then they will accept this as a better alternative, sort of thing.
Hmm.
It's weird to me that Fury doesn't see this as being a real bad thing, or like too much. But I guess it's because he really trusts the Pierce guy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Sorry.
oh,
Sorry, I've got background noise and it's really distracting. I do apologize.
that's all right.
I think as well,
yeah,
Fury's slightly distracted with
yeah, true, because stuff's
like he's
going
probably got like
weird.
too many plates in the air
Mhm.
and
Mm.
he's trying to balance all these heroes and the threats that come with them
Do,
globally. Like it's not just in
do
his
you
own
think
backyard, it's like all
do you
over. So
yeah, do you think that it's like it's almost too much for him? Do you think he's taken on too much? Like he's managed to like as we know later on down the line in Captain Marvel that this has been going on, this initiative has been going on for some time,
Mhm.
and he's finally done it. And is it like, oh, is this too much? Have I invited things by having these heroes together? Am I inviting these
I
alien
think that
attacks?
I think that might be the guilt factor rather than like a too much factor. Like he might
Mm-hmm.
be blaming himself, and obviously, oh, because I know it's like retrospectively written in, but he would be kind of blaming himself for Carol and wondering where
Mm.
she is, and so
And he's got scroll guilt, which we find out in
yeah,
the Secret Wars TV
which
show.
just kind of make more sense whether you love or loathe those films, but
Yeah.
Yeah. Have we met Robert Redford at this point?
Yeah, he's
yeah,
he's around this time, I think, at least. What did you think of him in this role? Because
Loved
I know why he's cast, because
amazing.
it's because he's from, is it All the President's Men, the
him.
which is
Yeah,
a
and
political thriller
he
type of,
actually he
yeah,
pulled for this movie.
Yep,
yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
he's
he's good. He's a very like hateable character, like in
yeah, but
this. It's
he's
very
so
good.
good at it,
Yeah.
and
He's a good
much
bad guy.
like he's this actor with a great pedigree, but he takes it so seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he plays the role so straight. He's not like this mwah ha 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 villain
Oh
kind of look
yeah.
they keep in the
No,
background.
to be
And
fair, even till the end, you sort of think like he might turn it around. Like he never really shows his full hand of like full
Yeah.
evil. So like even to the end, I'm sort of thinking like, well, Fury might talk him around. I'm not quite like,
I
it's still
never
up in the
got
air.
that. So much as
no.
an air of he has so much conviction in what he believes. It's terrifying.
Yeah,
Like he completely thinks he's in the right. He completely thinks he's on like the good side of history. Like
yeah,
he is so immersed in it that, much like some scary politicians,
Hmm.
yeah.
that he's not the bad guy. And he dies believing that he's completely in the right and he was completely validated for what he did.
So did the Red
Yeah.
Skull.
Yeah.
The thing is
Yeah,
though,
exactly.
his ideologies are exactly the same. They're the same as Hydra, the same as the Red Skull. It's all about control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's control and power. But in his eyes, as in it was in Hydra's, which oh my god, did anyone else just scream at Toby Jones when he was explaining Hydra's plan?
Mm-hmm.
What, to
Yeah.
shut up, you mean?
It was the whole. Sorry to go and jump into this point. It's just it's fresh in my brain. It's the we wanted pure control and power, but what we didn't realize is that other people wouldn't want that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. But again, that's like we know best. We
Yeah.
know better than the little people. The little people are just like the tiny little worker ants, the worker bees,
And it's like that whole,
trundling
like,
along.
it's that
They
whole
need
thing
to be
of
told
like
what to do.
order versus chaos and all that stuff, where
Mhm.
Like,
Hydra think killing millions of people in one day would be order instead of pure
Yeah.
chaos.
But again,
um,
that's what Thanos thought.
yeah, I didn't actually make that link until we were just talking there, but like Hydra's sort of take out all of our threats as a little Thanos-y, and
Mhm.
the sort of like, oh,
Yeah.
we need to do some kind of big population changing event in order
Mhm.
to put things right again. But yeah, so the way Fury sells it is like, oh yeah, the terrorist cell that's about to do something horrible, we can stop them with a
Mhm.
push of the button, type of thing. There's a lot of that like hand waving about it, being like, well, if your daughter was like about to be murdered, wouldn't you press the button to stop it? And sort of like
Mhm.
that kind of thing. But Steve's not having any of it because he's like, this
No.
is what we fought to like avoid
yeah.
happening.
And that's exactly why he won't sign the Sokovia Accords later on.
Yeah.
Exactly. See, it all
Same
just like
difference.
lovely plays into part of Civil
Yeah, because
War.
he never wants to be a weapon.
No.
Like
No,
me and Sammy watched some like videos about his psychology, and they were saying like he always tries to talk his way out of something first. Like he
Mhm.
rarely attacks first unless it's like,
Yeah.
already the
in
battle's
his
already going.
face. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cap
Um,
isn't a weapon. Cap is a symbol.
yeah.
Yeah, yes, to the normal people, but to the higher powers, they're in their mind, he was created to be that
Yeah.
weapon.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
He's walking
so
taxpayers' money.
I guess he is a government employee, right? They'll be paying him
Government
to work for
property.
Shield.
yeah,
They
technically
they
government
they
property,
probably
they
don't
put
even
it.
see him as a person. They just see him as like a walking
Yeah,
gun.
Yeah.
because we know how poorly he was when he before he got the super seizure. I can't say it
Mhm.
really fast. Super soldier serum.
Super soldier serum.
serum.
He's the
Yeah.
only working one as well, unfortunately. So it's a lot of sunk cost that went into that. And
Mhm.
Yes.
no
Still
doubt the one.
recouping that.
Yeah. Have we so we've met Robert Redford's character. Have we
Met
met the council?
Crossbones a little bit.
Crossbones, yep. Have we met the council yet?
Not quite, I don't think. But I do, possibly, but I do find that quite funny when he's basically, you've got all these different council members, and some of them are like quite sassy, and like
Yeah.
obviously Alexander Pierce is like, he's like, I don't really care about that. I'm doing this, and they're all like, we'll need to meet about that.
Yeah.
It's a fun dynamic.
I love Jenny Agutter as
Jenny
our
Agutter,
representation.
my sister Julienne. I absolutely lost my mind when I remembered she was in this.
I'm very happy with her being my
Yes.
regional.
If anyone is representing us, I am happy it is Sister Julienne because that
Yeah.
woman has some integrity. Yeah, I love it that it's Jenny. I'm a huge fan of Call the Midwife. She's
Me
also
too.
in American Werewolf in London. She's the love
Yeah.
interest in that.
Railway Children.
Yes. She's absolutely fantastic. And when I remembered she was in this, my head just exploded. I was like, what?
Yeah, because this is the first time we've seen the sort of, because it's normally shadowy, like the shadow videos of everyone.
It was the first time we ever saw the council.
It was just pure silhouettes.
It's the guy from, I think he was in Ugly Betty, but was he also in Neighbours or Home and Away?
I don't
Am
know
I
if
making
any.
that up?
I don't know if any soap stars have made the jump to movies.
I swear right. I have a Google.
Okay.
I swear he is in an Aussie soap. Has to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, talk
I
amongst
did used to
yourselves while I
watch
find out.
Neighbours, but I didn't recognize him.
Yeah, I can't. I'd never watched it. Sorry.
But aye. So we're basically, this is our talking, not our talking. The movies talking section is sort of done for a little bit. because it's not long after this when we get that crazy Nick Fury action scene where where he's just trundling along in his car, being like, things are a bit weird, with this flash drive. I don't like it. And suddenly he's just attacked on all sides by like the scariest sort of military force you've ever seen. um, and even though he has a supercar, the like battering ram the windows in, and it's a really intense scene. And like you guys have said, the music really ratchets up the tension and everything.
Because it kind of comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, we are expecting things to get violent and real, and the Winter Soldier to come.
And he sees that cop, and you think like, oh, they're just doing a sort of like, black guy being pulled over sort of thing. But no, he actually they actually did have it out for him.
They did. Just to interrupt this for a little second, he was in Neighbours. He was Jim Robinson in Neighbours. I knew that.
Was he evil in Neighbours? Was he like an evil nightclub owner or something?
No, not that like I remember. He looks, do you know, he looks no different than what he did in Neighbours to what he does now.
I'm sorry for doubting you, Sammy, because I used to watch Neighbours as well. So you're clearly number one Neighbours fan on this podcast.
It's like the time I found out I was Dawson Creek's number one fan as well, because I knew far too much on that too. Do you know what it is? It's my granddad. My granddad was obsessed with Neighbours and Home and Away. Like, you couldn't touch the telly at like 4:00 in preparation for Neighbours and Home and Away to come on.
We didn't watch Home and Away. We were Neighbours and Emmerdale family and EastEnders sometimes, but not all the time.
I was lucky my mom didn't watch soaps. But anyways, we're back to Fury.
Getting his ass kicked by I guess it's like technically it's Hydra's strike team.
Yeah.
That's strike spelled out in letters.
Which is interesting, because strike used to be the acronym for the British version of SHIELD way back in the Captain Britain comics.
Oh,
that's fun.
So when like strike popped in the film, it's like, oh my god, am I getting Captain Britain? It's like, I wasn't at all.
No, they're all just American meathead bros, scary looking dudes.
But no, I'm still sour about that because strike was what Betsy Braddock, before she was Psylocke in the X-Men, was a part of when she was just a Psy operative for strike. Then they all got killed by Slaymaster.
I was going to say it hadn't been body swapped or whatever happened to her. There's a lot
she was still, blonde and hair-dyed, which, sorry, we're diverging again, but...
No, it's a fun little reference, because I hadn't seen anyone pick up on that, so...
But
no, that was... Strike used to be the British... I can't remember what it spells out.
No.
I can't remember what it spells out, but yes, it was definitely the British version of SHIELD.
And there's like some like references, because I think Fury has like a flying car in some like older comics and stuff, and he's like turn on flight mode, and the car's like it's damaged, and it's like, god damn it. But that car is insane.
I know what it is, because I had Google left open. Special tactical reserve for international key emergencies.
Key. I was trying to think what the K was. I was like, are they gonna do like a Knights sort of thing because it's England? And,
no, that'd have been cool.
I mean,
doing stuff like that.
Considering it was Claremont who made that part up, I wouldn't be surprised.
Why do I know that? I knew that. Claremont used to be a very different...
Claremont's actually British, but he grew up in America.
Yeah,
I was going to say, every time I've heard him in an interview, he always sounds American, or I'm just, because he's sitting in a room with Americans, because he...
he's like British, but he went to America at a young age, but that's why he got like a lot of the British comic work back in the olden days.
Interesting.
He was British.
Yeah, so he could be like, look, I'm from here.
Yeah.
But so Winter Soldier shows up, the titular Winter Soldier. Just when you think Fury's almost got away, he gets a weird little landmine stuck on the bottom of his car.
The look of Bucky Barnes Winter Soldier
he's so cool.
is just
It's
brilliant. This
amazing.
is the one and only time Sebastian Stan wore hair extensions for that hair. He did manage to grow it out for any other time, but this occasion he didn't have the time, so he had to have hair extensions put in.
Yeah.
Fun fact.
Yes, the more you know.
He's
Yeah.
he's a really cool character design because everyone
Yeah.
like sort of I mean not everyone, but there's definitely a criticism about Marvel that their costuming is like hyper militarized and a bit like not it kind of goes a bit too far from superhero-y sometimes, like, and just kind of looks like army gear. But this guy is like the kind of drawing a child would draw, where you would put like
Yeah.
all of the weapons onto your cool
Yeah.
guy. He's proper like 90s comic stuff with he's just
Mhm.
got like knives and machine guns like strapped
Yeah,
to
I've
his
got
back.
I've actually got the hot toy of Winter Soldier from this film, and the amount of like weapons with it was insane. There's like 5 guns,
Yeah.
4 knives. It's just like just tiny little. It's like Buckaroo.
Where do you put them?
He has little pockets for
Exactly. They've
everything.
all got
This
little
is-
slots.
This is why I never want to own a hot toy. One, it has to come out the box. Too many accessories, but they do look absolutely stunning.
Sadly, due to space, Bucky is in his box,
Yeah.
so he's going to stay
where
there
he
for a little bit.
Oh, I know you put him back on ice.
Yeah.
How could you?
For now.
Yeah, I love the design of the Winter Soldier. The
He's
arm,
terrifying.
Yeah.
Like to look at. He
yeah.
looks scary.
But
Sebastian
he's
Stan pulls it off perfectly.
lifted pretty much from the comics.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like that storyline where he comes back after being dead for, because this is a very significant thing about the character, and which it didn't exactly translate from the film, although they did a really good job, is that Bucky was dead for decades. He was a character in the golden age of comics.
Yeah.
Cap's spunky little sidekick. He was about 8.
Yeah, was he like
He
his
was
Jimmy
like-
Olsen sort of thing?
Kind
Yeah.
of. Yeah,
And-
he was like this little adopted sprog of this army
It-
camp.
Yeah.
And he kind of like sort of just like skiddling around, and Cap kind of ended up taking him under his wing. And so he was very, very, very young in the Golden Age comics. And then when they revived Cap in the 60s, Bucky didn't get brought back with him,
No.
but he would be shown in flashbacks and stuff. But at this point, he was more like 12, 13. So they'd aged him up a little bit. So it wasn't quite as weird as having a 6-year-old come
Yeah,
with
in the
Yeah,
army
'cause-
camp.
do you know
Yeah.
why? Do you know why Bucky literally got put on ice for as many years as he did?
Do you want to
Because-
share?
Hmm?
You share it. You go on.
Stan Lee. Stan Lee did not
No.
like sidekicks
Yeah.
and pretty much shit canned him and didn't want to bring him back.
Yeah.
I never liked this Bucky Barnes.
But it kind of stuck. He would be brought back in flashbacks. He would be brought back
Yeah.
in like as imposters, as in robots. Rick Jones of the Hulk series teamed up with Cap for a bit, went rummaging through Cap's wardrobes, found Bucky's old clothes, and dressed up as Bucky and hung out for him. Yeah. Captain America issue 110. I have it somewhere in one of my boxes. It's the first appearance of Unmasking. Maybe I might be wrong about that.
So like, yeah, so this is
Minor
something
clue,
that
though.
it would be like insane for them to recreate in the movie timeline, because they would have had to like wait way too long. I suppose I suppose we are getting that a little bit now, because it's been so many years since like the Fox movies.
Yeah.
We're starting to get those weird things where they're like, here's someone from like the first X-Men, or like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is just showing up like out of nowhere. So they're trying their best, but yeah, that sounds like one of those perfect storm moments for the comic writers, where they're like, oh, we need to have this new character show up, but oh, how about it could be someone from the past? And then they're like, oh, hang on.
Yeah.
Maybe it could be like a surrogate son from the past type of thing.
Yeah.
How does the
and-
comic differ in sort of like the meeting? Because I think I've seen some panels where they take like 2 shots at least out of the comic, which is
Mhm.
like the punch
Yeah.
on the shield.
The punch and the shield.
Yeah.
and I
Punch in the
can't-
shield. Who the hell is Bucky?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, who the hell? No, yeah. Yes, that's right.
Who the hell is Bucky?
Uh-huh.
Because Cap goes, Bucky? Who the
Yeah.
hell is Bucky?
It's a
and
little
it-
bit of a funny line for him to just
It
come
is.
out with in the
It takes
context.
a long time for that reveal to happen as well. It's not
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
an instant reveal.
No.
I tried to. It was a lot. I read Winter Soldier probably the same year. I was obsessed with this.
Mhm.
Yeah.
This came out. We watched it at home, and then it was the first Marvel Blu-ray that I ever got. I got it for my birthday that year.
Nice.
I know. I was 32. Kind of depressing. Yeah, that's so depressing.
You're
Yeah.
younger than Steve.
I mean, anyone's younger than Steve. Yeah, so I read it around this time. So there was like, I forget, it was 10 years ago. And I was like, I can barely remember what I had for breakfast this morning. So don't be so hard on yourself that you can't remember the plot line to like, because it was mixing with so many.
Yeah,
Because
true.
I literally went through this stage of Winter Soldier, and then I read a lot of Black Widow and Winter Soldier, like Bucky Barnes
Yeah.
is they had a run around the same time, around about 2014, 2015. And then actually Black Widow's book came out, which was for young teenagers, but I still read it. But yeah, I this was around that time, and I just could not remember. So today I went back and had a look through.
Mhm.
I feel like I've never read this comic. Like I was like, oh my god, did that happen? And this?
Yeah, I haven't read it.
That's
I haven't
funny.
read it for a while, but it definitely was less Hydra, more Russia.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
I think definitely they would have used Hydra because Hydra is like nationless. So
Yeah.
That's right, yeah.
that had to be like doing a uncomfortable, let's get banned in other countries.
Yeah, even though
thing.
he's got like
Yeah.
a Russian star on his arm.
Yeah.
like,
But that's
the
because he
entire
was
time.
like
Yeah.
like when he got blown up off the plane, him and Cap, because him and Cap were like clinging to this plane in the comics, and they were trying to stop. I think it always differed because there's like the Golden Age version and like the flashback American version, and then Brubaker kind of tailored it again because he made Bucky even a bit older to make it make more sense. Like he
Yeah,
just
that he
lied
was
about
that he
his
was on a mission
encryption.
or on a plane
Yeah.
with them. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he like crash landed in like the English Channel, and the Soviets kind of like they were looking for Cap because they wanted to get the super soldier serum,
Yeah.
but they found Bucky instead, and he had an arm torn off, and
Good book.
like he'd been frozen enough to keep him like just about alive, but not be dead. So they were able to kind of bring him up, and
He
then
was
they trade him
salvageable.
on ice. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
So-
interesting in the movies because we sort of talked about it at the time that you do see him on a sort of spooky hospital bed, and they do sort of hint that he's been experimented on or something, but they never, not even in this, elaborate on how or what happened. I think maybe they do a bit later, say he got like a different sort of serum dose, like whatever the Russian variant was. But it's an odd thing because you think there would be more overt in the in the first Avenger movie, but they keep it very quiet, as if they were like, well, we want to have the option to bring him back, but as if they hadn't fully decided, like, are we going to pull the trigger on the Winter Soldier? I found a sort of an interesting thing about the name as well, that like Winter Soldier is like a term that comes from like a poem, and it kind of just means like a soldier who's like still in it, whereas like a summer soldier is someone who's sort of out of the conflict.
So Cap would be a summer soldier.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
He made it to the other side of the the Great
He made it
War,
to the
didn't he?
sunshine.
Whereas Bucky has been, murdering guys since he got
Yeah,
captured
because
by the sounds of it.
he's been the weapon.
Yeah.
He's been the one who's gone out and done the jobs. Well, to prepare for the role for the Winter Soldier, Sebastian Stan went through 5 months of physical training in
He's massive in
historical.
this.
He's built. He tones down a lot later on, which would make sense
Yeah.
for like character development. But yeah, and he did a lot of historical research as well. Cold War, KGB, watched a lot of spy movies, documentaries, and especially anything to do about brainwashing, because there's a lot of that it can't actually happen.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the psyche couldn't do it, but I don't know too much about it to be able to hold that kind of conversation. But yeah, he did it. He did his homework, and I feel like as an audience member, it really paid off.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
like, his facial acting in this is like really good.
Them eyes.
And
He's amazing.
It makes you feel really sad though, like some of
Yeah.
the looks he gives the camera.
Yeah.
Even though he doesn't it's like he's looking at you for help almost, but you can't help him, and he can't help himself out of the
He's really
situation.
good at
Yeah.
that subtlety. That even like First Avenger, there's like this bit where they've just come back to the camp after Cap sprung them all, and everybody's applauding, and he just looks, for a moment, he looks really like almost sad.
Yeah.
Because like everybody's like surrounding Cap, his friend, and like
Yeah.
it's like almost like he's lost his friend. And
Yeah.
it's like he wants to be miserable. Oh, my friend's having a good time. It's
Don't worry, Bucky. He will sacrifice quite a bit for your friendship.
Well, yeah, like
But-
I think in the first Avenger, I took that to be a bit more like yeah, this isn't the Steve I knew, but in a way it is. But like,
yeah,
he'll probably always like the Steve he made friends with was the little guy, like that's who he made friends with. The guy who showed up is different to him. Yeah.
Maybe he's a little bit worried that he's gonna this is gonna this kind of thing is gonna make him lose not his friend but the friend he knew, like the person who made the friend. Am I making sense?
Because they have a little flashback in this movie, don't they? Which I'd totally forgotten about. Where
this is the one we talked about in First Avenger that was meant to be in there, the funeral of Sarah.
Yes, and it's interesting because he's kind of like he's like inviting him to stay over at his house, I think, by the sounds of it.
Come and live with me, my friend.
But he's like, has to be like jokey about it, big brotherly, and be like, you have to shine my shoes though, and like pull your weight. And it's really sad though, because he's just like, no, I'll be fine on my own. It's like, oh.
But it's the line that stays with these two throughout now. I think it is used in First Avenger, but I couldn't say it for definite. But it's the "I'm with you to the end of the line."
Yeah.
There was a company, and I don't know if she still does them anymore, but she had this amazing T-shirt that had "I'm with you to the end of the line" written on. Like it was like it wasn't like a Marvel centric T-shirt. It just had exactly who I mean.
Yeah. I think it's the other way around though. I think Bucky's the one who kind of says it in a jokey way to Steve.
Yeah.
Like when in that very first Alice scene where Steve was about to get his the shit knocked out of him. But Bucky comes and saves him. And Bucky's just like, come on, I'm with you to the end of the line. And it's like, kind of like, is it? Or did I just Mandela myself?
I think you've just Mandela'd yourself, because the line you're thinking of there is Steve when he says, I can do this all day.
I can do this all day.
But I don't think Bucky says anything there. The only time I remember hearing it is this deleted scene, is he puts his hand on his shoulder and says, but because I'm with you to the end of the line.
Okay. And I just Mandela myself. You've got the notes, I believe you.
No, and the other thing the other line that they carry through is a sillier one though, where it's like you're taking all the stupid with you type of thing. Like where he's like, how can I? You took all the stupid with you.
They do have a lot
Bucky
of
turns that back on him when he's about to go back in time.
Yes. Oh my God, that is such a turn. I know
Yeah.
that was I know that is a thing between them two, but the fact that it's not used again
Yeah, the
until
weighted.
that moment, that is
Mhm.
good.
But right now, Bucky's scary, and we don't like him.
Yes.
No.
This is how far out I am as a Marvel fan. I did not know that that was Bucky Barnes when I first watched it.
I don't,
I
I
did.
don't, I don't know
I
if I
knew.
did from like trailers and stuff. He doesn't like at his face value because he's got the eye mask as well. Like he doesn't look like him. So yeah, like, but I was gonna say like I love how much detail they put into his metal arm as
Mhm.
well, and how it
Yeah.
like
Because
it does
as a
that
comic
scary
reader,
acceleration
yeah.
thing as well when he wants to like stab
Oh,
harder, and you're
arm's
like,
so cool. But no, as a comic reader, I knew. I'd read the comic.
Yeah.
yeah,
Like it came, I think the comic came out originally in 2008.
Yes.
yeah,
Yes. So I read it, I knew. So for me, when I see these films, it's not a case of like going in waiting to be surprised and oh no, what's going to happen? So much as oh, how are they going to do this?
yeah.
That was me with The Walking
So
Dead.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
I knew exactly that was Bucky. I could see the metal arm. It's like, oh, it's Bucky, it's Bucky, it's Bucky, it's Bucky, it's Bucky. So I was just like getting really excited to see how well
I
it was
don't
going to be.
I don't have that moment until way later on, and I think the only one time I've ever done anything where I've shouted out something before it's actually said was Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Adam's Pod.
Oh.
and, and she says, and I think I'll call him. And me, not missing a beat, just went, Adam. And the woman behind us, after she's, confirmed what I said, tutted at me. And I just looked around and went, like you knew.
And
My
also, it
my
didn't.
big moment comes much later in Endgame. My one of my nephews will never go to the cinema with me again because I hadn't seen it yet, and he'd happened to be up, and it's like let's go see it, and Cap the Shield, Mia, just like
Jimmy.
oh, is I like just like completely in meltdown, like screaming, and my nephew was just like, oh my God.
Mortified. I don't think Jake will go to the pictures with me again, given that I punched him when we went to go see a Brave New World.
No, that was fun. It was more like a wink, wink, nudge, nudge,
It
but
was
for
like
real life.
I accidentally punched my manager from work during the last Star Wars film.
I punched my friend when Ant-Man turned into Giant Man.
That was pretty cool.
I lost
was
my
cool.
mind.
that actually, yeah, that was my moment where I was like, when are they gonna do Giant Man? When are they gonna do Giant Man? And the made us wait so long for it, but they triggered it at the exact right time to be extra hilarious.
It was perfect. So we've got, where are we? Where's Bucky? Bucky's
being scary,
revealing,
unrevealing. We don't know, but I know.
I don't.
So like Fury manages to cut his way into the sewers with a magic laser pen that he has in his jacket.
Impressive.
Well, he's a spy.
And then he
I'd hope he'd have shit like that.
And he's the only one who's got one. He's be like experimental technology.
Because that's kind of, again, sorry, diverging into comics. I see that kind of as a reference to when he was introduced in Ultimate X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
And he was on this mission. He had to be sneaky, and they were like, "Hey, we can give you 5 seconds of invisibility. That's all that's in the budget. Please make it count." So it's just like, yes, he's got this spy tech, but it probably really only is him who's got it because they can't afford it for anybody else.
Yeah, it's like it's probably like gonna run out of batteries.
Yeah,
and that's it. But yeah, sorry, Sam. This is where we'll go back to Cap's apartment, and your favorite character shows up.
Yay!
And it's like, I think you left your radio on. That old man music you listen to. God.
Another callback to Cap's end of his story. Sharon Carter, second-rate Peggy Carter, can get in the bin.
She's just doing her laundry from her infectious disease
Oh,
shift.
then stay away.
I'm sorry, but if that was really, she could have had a better cover story, because if she really was working at the infectious disease ward, surely they'd have to be washed on site.
Or
Yeah,
you'd leave them there, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what
yeah.
we haven't mentioned, before he meets Sharon, he actually does go and visit Peggy.
Oh, of course,
Oh,
that
yes,
happens
yes.
before.
Yeah, Peggy who is suffering with, because there was a video package that kind of shows you, what happened to Peggy Carter and the Howling Commandos,
Mhm.
and then he goes to visit his Peggy, and he gets he gets a very good, comforting talk from Peggy until, unfortunately, Alzheimer's has taken her and she goes
Mhm.
back. You know,
Mhm.
it's almost like she's just forgot everything she's just said. She had like a lucid moment and then kind of lost it
Mhm.
towards the end.
Yeah.
And that's when you meet Sharon, she says, "Oh, I'm just on the phone to my aunt who's an insomniac."
Mhm.
It's fucking Peggy on the phone.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and I know some super nerds have tried to like retcon this back after the time travel stuff and been like, oh, it's actually because of the time travel. She's like, that's what she would have said to him when he like showed back up, after he
Right.
goes back again. But I
I
think you're
can't.
right, Sam. I think it's more the like they want to do the whole like
Yeah.
lucid moment sort of
Yeah.
dropping sort of
And
thing.
I, it's one of those things that I doubt it was going to be that, but
Yeah,
it
yeah,
works. It holds up with
Mm-hmm.
that. It's
Yeah.
yeah.
not the end game scene doesn't expunge this or make
No,
it count less. Like
no.
it complements it.
Yes, massively. I can't get into the headspace of Endgames and how time travel works with Steve now being gone back to when he is then an old man later. Like I can't.
It's best
Yeah,
not to think about
My
it.
brain
yeah.
will. My brain will
Like
probably fall in on itself.
that would either create an alternative timeline, or
It
he'd not even be
has
able to stand on an ant, lest
Yeah.
butterfly
I
effect.
think
I
I like to think it's like a split timeline, but I don't know if it actually is because there's
I mean,
probably
there's like dozens of timelines in
yeah.
Marvel
and
continuity anyway, so
and he
Because
has to
like
see the Sorcerer Supreme as well. So
because
maybe the
when
Sorcerer Supreme give him something. I don't know.
yeah,
yeah.
because when you think about it, like
Okay.
that he would have had if you try and explain it, he would have had to have been sat at home while all this stuff was happening,
Yeah,
like,
Yeah.
and
And
fair
but
enough, he knows that there's another version of him out there, but
yeah,
like
there
I
are those
just
theories about, oh, what would you do if you killed a baby dictator back in time?
yeah,
Would the void be filled by something worse?
yeah,
Which,
well,
or
isn't
just
that the
like
argument of Hydra?
yeah, you
maybe
just
Cut
you
one
know,
head off and
two
not
another
spring
one,
up.
two will appear. So it's kind of like unfortunately, history will always have its horribleness.
hmm
Regardless if you go out and take out, yeah, I can't get into the time travel thing just
It's
yet
okay,
because
you don't have
my
to.
brain will
Yeah.
just go, "Oh."
We've all we've had is literal time travel using cryogenics, which is
And that's
total. It's
fine.
totally
And
normal.
let's just we'll leave it
Sleepy
at that.
sleep.
Yeah. Yeah, so where are we, Jake?
He goes. I think we might have skipped a bit, but he does visit the little Captain America museum, which is quite
hmm
cute, and sees all of his like Howling Commando friends.
Yeah, because
hmm
that's how he finds out about it, and he sees the video package, and he
Yeah,
sees his suit, and obviously that suit will play a part later on.
Yes.
That is what Hawkeye's. Do you know how you mentioned today that there was a deleted scene where he found out his suit had a bug in it, and that's why he went and picked
he
that one
drops it
up.
off. Yeah,
hmm
yeah.
Yeah, so it's Hawkeye. What they originally planned to do was Hawkeye who was going to tell him that.
Oh, right, like he went to
Okay.
meet him covertly
They
for
actually
help.
end up well, they actually ended up having a fight,
Mm.
an orchestrated fight, so they could kind of get in proximity to each other.
Mm.
And that's where he kind of like said, "You need to make this look believable, and take me out," because like obviously Hawkeye is a spy. He's just like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
so he needs to kind of keep his identity as who they know. So, and that's when he tells them there is a bug in your suit. You need to get rid of that.
Yeah, and
I'm
unfortunately,
not gonna lie, I kind of hate that.
he ditches Sammy's favorite suit in
He does.
a gym. But yeah,
I
sorry.
thought it was for other reasons, but we will
Yeah.
get to that
That's
later.
all right. So yeah, like so this is where he meets Fury in his apartment. He's got the loud music playing, and he's like, "My wife kicked me out," and he's showing things on his phone.
I didn't know you had a wife.
No, but he does in Secret Wars. He has a scroll for a wife. We'll see that later on. Maybe not, because we don't
Maybe
watch
not,
the
because I've never
TV
watched
shows.
it. I've never watched it.
And we don't talk about the TV shows yet. They haven't come up yet. But yeah, then Winter Soldier seemingly finishes his job with the
When he
old
just
sniper.
shoots through the window, that's
This is the scene where you see him bust through the door, run up a wall, jump out of a window, to then throw his shield, and Bucky just
the shield
catch it.
Yeah.
It's like with his fingertips, just like up to
And then he whips it back at him super hard.
Yeah. But there's still no recognition there. Like,
No.
Cap does not see what we will eventually end up seeing.
Yeah.
I mean, he wouldn't, because he's got the mask on. He's got the really long hair that he never had.
Also, his friend is dead.
Camo, yeah, the camo makeup over his face. Like, you wouldn't be looking for somebody who you thought died 70 years ago in that.
No. In his head, like, he's dead. He's not coming back. Like, he is just a massive coincidence. Like, this can't happen again.
Yeah.
I mean, it does. But...
It did.
Yeah. So this is where we get the first on-screen death of Nick Fury. It's never the last.
Never.
You never know. But yeah, it's they don't really. It's not very emotional, I wouldn't say.
It is for me with Natasha. I must admit.
Yeah, a little bit, but I don't think like when you get into like Guardians of the Galaxy, that really knows how to make you cry. I feel like some of the other Marvel directors don't know how to make everyone cry.
No,
but I don't think it was needed for this scene, because it was kind of meant to be a bit clinical and a bit back to work then.
Yeah.
Because we've still got a job to do kind of thing.
Yeah,
it's Natasha's line though. It's the don't do this to me.
Yeah.
That's
expecting him to just power through it.
Yeah, and for her, this is what I mean. This is showing vulnerability without having to break her. It's the fact that she's been with this man and worked for this man and trusted this man for how many years now?
Yeah. But as far as we know, that's his only emotional link and her only emotional link. Like, they have got that. I don't want to say father-daughter, but there's definitely a student-teacher thing there.
Student,
in a healthy way, not in a creepy.
Well, this is what I was saying to Jake earlier today. It's very refreshing in this movie that it's not. I know there's a running joke with trying to find Cap a girlfriend. I get that,
and being like flirty, like the tiniest smidgen.
But it's the relationship between Natasha and Steve. It's not romantic. It's purely friendship. That is like a brother and sister.
And they care about each other a lot, and you can see that.
And they make a hell of a team up. Like, they really do make a great team up.
Like, it's just a shame they ditched that for the rest of the films.
I was thinking today, like, on like power levels and stuff, and like, oh, like Natasha really shows why she can hang with the Avengers in this movie. And like, she might actually be, how like obviously Cap's like taken to the next level of like human evolution. Like, Natasha might be like the peak of human like fitness and like,
fighting. Definitely. Like, comics wise, she's literally like graded often as like an Olympic level athlete / gymnast. So she's definitely
she's on Batman's level as far as I'm concerned, with the whole peak of human condition.
She could probably take down Catwoman. Sorry, any big Catwoman fans. I do like Catwoman.
No. But... I do too, but I agree. Natasha's got she's hot as fuck, basically.
Yeah, she already is.
So yeah, I don't know exactly how Steve hides the thumb drive in the vending machine behind like 3 rings of like candy bars.
Do they just expect nobody?
Wait, who he doesn't? Somebody goes back for it, don't they?
He tries to get it, but Natasha's snuck it out
got
of
it.
there.
Yeah, he was expecting nobody to go in and buy bubblegum from a vending machine. But yeah, I mean, he did well because it was Natasha who got it, and this is where the questions start. You know, what is going on here?
Like who can I trust? Nobody? Anybody? You?
Somebody? Sam.
Yeah.
That's who.
But yeah, this is where he gets questioned by Pierce as well as Natasha. She's like, "You're a terrible liar," and then he tries a little harder with Alexander when he's chatting to him, but he gives the same line where he's like, "I don't know why he was in my apartment." It's not a very good lie.
No.
But yeah, this is where we get the cool the scary elevator ride of Doom, where everyone's like piling in, and he's like, everyone's being shifty.
If anyone wants to get out now,
it's such a good line.
And again,
it's the non-violent option. He always gives you a chance.
Yeah, he gives you an opportunity. But that moment when he gets pinned up against the wall and you can see his hand, they are prepared for him.
Oh,
they
have magnet cuffs.
Yep, they have magnet cuffs ready to pin his arms down. But he is too quick. They didn't think about going for the feet, and that's when he snaps that guy's leg. And then just carnage, and then you get probably one of the this is such a great shot, is the shield from the floor to his arm as the door opens.
Yeah, I like how it's vertical as well, so you get to like see what
there are some moments in this. It kind of bugs my brain sometimes, but then at the same time I quite like it, where I can watch a film and go, that would be a great photograph.
Yeah.
There's this moment here where the shield is up, and it would be a wonderful photograph.
Agreed.
There's a few in this.
It's one of those moments where he looks like the coolest guy in the entire world after there's just a pile of bodies on the floor of this elevator.
Yeah.
He kind of brushes himself off and walks away. I do love
the contrast though in Endgame, where he just goes, "Hail Hydra." And it's non-violent. Steve.
He's like, I don't want to have this fight again. It was
no, let's not do this.
Let's do it peaceful.
But yeah, so like then he has to like chop the elevator down, like and slides down and smash out. I do like how he just lands on the floor and everyone runs away screaming. It's like, yep, that like it's Cap, so if he's in the building, stuff like this might happen, but it's still nonetheless scary. And he just like, this is a bit like super powered Cap can just get away with anything because he like just gets out of the bay doors with his motorbike. He just gets past all the bridge defenses and stuff. And we're on the run.
And this scene is amazing as well.
Yeah. We're in our spy portion of the movie where everyone's in baseball caps.
And going to the Apple store. Love the guy in the Apple store, by the way.
Love that.
Yeah, he's a comedian apparently. Like, not sure
really?
I think he might be part of the community crowd, like in those shows and stuff with those friends.
I've never seen it. I know Paul's talked about it a lot. I know he says it's really good. I've just never given it a chance. There's another community member in this movie as well.
Yes, Abed.
Yes. That's very unrecognizable actually with his haircut, because normally I've seen him in Mythic Quest. He was in Mythic Quest, the Rob McElhenney video game show. And it's the hair. If he changes his hair ever so slightly, I'm like, I can't picture you.
He looks fairly community styled in this.
Right.
But no, he's really cute. He's like kind of like the Sheldon Cooper, I guess, if you have to assign sitcom roles to.
He's not great in Mythic Quest. He's not a good person.
But yeah, so like this is where we go on the run and stuff. I do find it a little hard to believe that Captain America and Black Widow can just drive across America in a car. I know they stole it and stuff, but I feel like with all the surveillance stuff that SHIELD have.
The reason why I kind of believe this bit is because Black Widow's there.
Oh, to make it
yeah,
work.
Like if it was just Steve on his own, he would further. than the end of the road.
It's
But
borrowed. Get your feet
Natasha,
off.
Natasha's got skills,
Yeah.
and it's more believable because she's there and she can.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I
Yeah.
accept your
I don't know.
point. That works.
The
That works for me.
the line though where he's like, it's borrowed, get your feet
Yeah.
off.
I
That
know
was-
he's gonna
that's
return. He's
so
gonna return it
cap.
at
He
the
is
end of
that
this.
Of
car
course
is
he's gonna
getting sent-
return it.
Yeah.
He's gonna
And it's-
tape some money to the
Yeah.
Yeah.
mirror
He's
for
he's
like
gonna
gas,
pay for
isn't
the
he?
he's gonna pay for the petrol.
Yeah, full
That's
tank
what-
of gas.
Yeah, he's so polite, but this is where he goes to the shield compound.
Yeah, his old stomping grounds. There's no shots of Tommy Lee Jones.
Yes.
Which
There's
I
a
would have
picture of him.
enjoyed. Yeah.
Yeah.
On the
but it's
wall
like
there was a picture of him.
it's like a different drill sergeant. That's the little voice he hears when he sees little Steve.
Oh, little Steve.
Ghost version.
Yeah, there's a picture of Tommy Lee on the wall along with Peggy and Howard Stark.
Yeah.
Now, somebody said, why aren't you using Roger Sterling? Now, they're using his character name from Mad Men, not his actual name.
Yeah.
And it's like, because if you watch The First Avenger, Dominic Cooper played Howard Stark.
Yeah.
That's why he's up there, not Roger Sterling.
Yeah. And plus like the next Stark we see like in the other movies, like that like time's passed, so different actor,
Yeah.
different age, who cares?
Yeah, it's Roger. I call him Roger Sterling because it's the only name I know him by from his Mad Men character, but that's not his real name.
Yeah. And this is where you get the little cheeky where Natasha's like, who's she? And then Steve's like, let's get going.
Let's not talk about Peggy, because that's going to open up a whole can of worms.
Yeah. It's cute how he's like proud of her for starting Shield and that though. Like, he's got that kind of
that like proud moment of she did okay.
Yeah.
She was good. But this is where we have Zola back. And as much as I got annoyed at Toby Jones with his explanation of Hydra's plan, I was really happy that Toby Jones was back in this.
He's fun. He's like he's even crazier than before, which I enjoy because he's like been living in a computer.
Because he doesn't have the Red Skull behind him anymore.
Yeah.
So he can be a little bit more of himself. But this is where Project Paperclip is mentioned. And this is a genuine thing that the Americans did, was they hired German scientists to come over and wipe their debts clean. Like I don't know too much about Project. I only know the basics of Project Paperclip. I actually have a podcast ready once I've finished the one I'm listening to on the Manhattan Project and Project Paperclip. So I'm going to go down
basically. Don't serve if you come over and serve the America and the American people. We won't consider you a bad person. You just come and do it. You come and do what you were doing for Germany, but for us, and you won't have to serve any time or that kind of thing. So
because they kind of hinted it in a different way with the scientist who creates the serum, where they're sort of like, oh, he's a defector effectively, because he was like, oh, I can't get behind this.
Yeah,
they want me to make super weapons over there.
Wow.
But the genuine thing, and some of our big company banking CEOs were possibly part of that whole thing as well.
Engineers. So it was over 1,500 German scientists, technicians, and engineers from Nazi Germany came over. So I believe a few of the engineers went to NASA and were part of the space program.
Space race.
Yeah. But this is mentioned in there to explain why Zola is with Shield. Yeah,
because we do see him get picked up, and they don't treat him. They say like, oh, give us Skull like in the first Avenger, and like we can work with you and stuff, because they think he's like the scared little sidekick, but no, it turns out he's just as crazy as Red Skull. And fool on them, because he managed to orchestrate this entire Hydra plot for all these years behind the scenes in his computer. I just love how it's like proper old computers as well, and he's like all made of like code lines and stuff.
And he also jumps from one screen to another
when he punches him.
It's like, oh no, Cap, you don't get rid of me that easy.
He's like, you're inside my brain, like Killian, but less Like
Oh,
he's on
gosh.
loads of
No, don't.
magnetic tape reels.
At least this one looked better than Inside Killian's Brain.
Oh yeah. And he wasn't making weird kissy faces at Natasha or anything, so it's
No.
much less uncomfortable. But yeah, it's quite funny because you think like, oh, he's just telling them the secret plan, but he's like, but I've actually been stalling this whole time. Sorry,
Yeah.
if there's a bunker buster headed right for us. And unfortunately, like, is this the full-on death of Armin Zola, or is there something later on where they find out he's still around?
Can't remember.
Yeah,
I can't
And I
remember.
didn't
I mean, like,
think
it might be an
theoretically,
it might be an Agents of Shield.
yeah.
Unless I'm making that up.
Do you know that is just I watched it and I watched right up until Ghost Rider and then it
Yeah, me too.
but it's a blur.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm quite sad to see this guy go because I know in the comics he's got a full on like silly robot suit with like a TV screen in the tummy.
I've just yes, I'm just looking at it,
Very like
concept art now.
Krang in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles esque. Like,
Yeah.
he
But
can't
he looks cool though.
do anything himself, but with the transportation, he's fine. But theoretically, he should be able to jump. So
especially if
it's just one of the.
they turned
It's
him
a
back
very
on
Marvel
effectively.
thing where they waste their villains by just like offing them.
Yeah,
just put more of them in prison in the what's the face.
Well, because
what's the prison called?
The Raft.
The Raft, yeah. Just put more into the Raft. It's fine. That thing.
Especially this guy fits on a thumb drive, an SD card.
Put him in a
like
drawer.
you are right. We've sort of talked about that a few times where like it would have been fun to keep Obadiah staying around for a bit longer. It would have been fun to bring like Justin Hammer back properly and sort of even if it was just in a silly fashion.
Appreciate a lot of them probably are casting reasons, like the actors don't want to keep on contract.
This is why recasts are okay, everyone.
Or just don't cast somebody that well known.
Yeah, that's the other option.
This is Zola's death.
Yeah. Okay.
Aww.
So yeah, that's a shame. But now we've got multiverse, so now nothing's off the table.
And also, it's comic book land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They can just go. He's back to life again.
We had a backup,
and we have to accept that. Drive. Yeah, and we have to accept that. But yeah, he's dead.
Yep. But he did tell them the definite plan because like obviously the new shield had been taken over, but they weren't sure like how far it went, like fully. They just had the little hints of like, oh, there's all these weird like this is where the sort of algorithm came from and stuff. And then obviously they've tried to kill them, but they're sort of like, how deep does this go? And they realize it's all the way bad.
All the way bad.
Yeah. Let's have a look. So I think this is where they go back to meet Sam, and he gives them breakfast, and they have a little like when he's
shower,
like
clean off.
Oh yeah,
that is a great scene when they are being bombed and Cap's just like got the shield above them both.
Yeah.
That shield saves a lot of people in this movie.
Yeah. And I think that kind of like it sort of bonds them in a, like you'd think they would have already been bonded by this point, but when they sort of clean themselves up, she's like, holy crap, like I kind of like I had to trust you to save me there, and like Natasha's like, I don't often do that for people.
And would you do the same, or would I do the same if we were in the different position? And it's the fact that he said, I think you would, and it kind of like, takes that back, like, oh, he thinks that about me.
Like now,
like he believes in her.
This is the start. This is oh, sorry.
It's like he's not naive when he say that. It's not just like, oh yeah, no, la la la. Everybody's got a good side. Like they are on the team together.
I think he literally says like,
you gotta trust when you're on a team, and he trusts her.
But I think he literally does say like, well, I would trust you now, like as if like yes, you've proved yourself to this point. So
this is definitely a friendship forging moment, and then Sam comes in and ruins it.
Oh yeah, but he offers them breakfast, and he's like,
third wheel Sam.
He's like assuming you guys eat that kind of thing.
I love the fact that he makes it like, They're
They
both
are
human.
freaks, though. Like,
But they're both humans.
compared to him, they're freaks.
But
Yeah.
this is very reveals Project Falcon, and
Yeah.
that, you know, he might be actually an asset, which is just great timing on his part to bring this out. Like,
Yeah.
I could help, and this is how I can help.
Yes, and we don't know it yet, but Sam's actually got decent, like, in mission sort of spy chops as well, because he's the guy on the phone when they trick Sitwell into meeting them. He's like, "Hello, like, I'm not the president," or it was Pierce, I think, the had
Oh,
dialogue.
that's right, because this scene when you see Sitwell, because that's where they go to next, isn't it?
Yeah,
They
pretty
go and
much.
it's the fact that he's like, it's they're talking about the wings, and he's
Yeah.
going, it's behind a brick wall, behind this, behind armored guards, and Natasha's face just is like calculating it all up, and then she goes, "Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah,
Like, I'll
and
get
you
it.
you don't even see it. Like, you don't
We don't
even see a second of it.
we don't need to see it. We just know.
Yeah.
Natasha said she'll get it. She'll get
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it
And
would have
this,
spoiled it if
yeah.
we did have to go through the whole thing of like, duh, duh, duh,
Oh,
duh,
gotta
duh, duh.
find the wings.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just
The
like, yeah, I can get it.
the next time, well, when you see Sitwell walking down the stairs with Gary Shandling, that's the last time you see Gary Shandling, because unfortunately he
Oh,
passed away after this film.
after his creepy whisper.
But it's the jokiness afterwards with them.
I
And then
know. Yeah.
Sitwell.
he gets his comeuppance, because there's no way he's
Oh.
surviving after he let all this information go.
Oh, absolutely not. And my God, does it just take getting thrown off a building to, like, spill your guts?
I think
is that what it
yes.
takes?
Yes, I would spill after that, I think. Personally. But yeah, like, this was where I didn't notice this any other time, but when I was watching this, I was like, oh, he says Stephen Strange or Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I had no
Yeah.
idea at the time. I don't remember hearing anyone talk about that name drop.
He mentioned it when we watched it.
Really?
Now, yeah,
Not at
We
the
went
time.
wild when
Yeah.
we saw it.
When
I
you
was-
went the 9th time you saw it.
yeah. So obviously I'm not in my Marvel phase, but I have watched stuff with Anth, even though I am not fully in it. And there was one short, like an animated film, and it
Yes.
was Stephen Strange, and it was
Oh,
Doctor
right.
Strange's animated film. I absolutely adore that film. It was so good. So I recognize that name. So I'm like Captain America in the First Avenger, going, I get that reference. Like,
Yeah.
I get that.
I think
Yeah.
I would have only known him from the Spider-Man cartoon show. I don't know if he showed up in X-Men at all, but he pops up every a couple of times in
But
that when when they're doing the whole
that's
weird Mary
strange.
Jane's disappeared story.
I don't think
That-
he pops up in the cartoon. He had one or two cameos in the comics.
Oh,
Yeah,
maybe
but
it's maybe I'm thinking of Baron Mordo or whatever. Then.
But that is Doctor Strange, though, in a nutshell. He literally just pops up in everyone else's comics.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden in 2014, you can't move for a Strange run that's just come out. But up until that point, he was just, oh, he's here for 1 second and then he's gone. Oh, Illuminati's meeting. Oh, he's gone. He never stuck around for too long.
Yeah, or we just show up and be like, well, we are a Vagamoto, and do some funny
Bye.
stuff.
Yeah. He turned to advise on magic or train other magicy people.
Yeah.
for that
Yeah.
kind of
But he never
thing,
stuck
or-
around for a long time.
One of my favorite Strange moments is when they have to go to him because like World War Hulk's happening and like Hulk's coming back to the planet, and they go to Stephen Strange for help, and he's like, oh, you've made the Hulk really mad. He's like, I'm not even sure if I can help you.
Yeah.
Sorry, kids.
I
This
just
one's
love
on you.
I love the fear in him when you think like, oh, he's supposed to be like, the Sorcerer Supreme, and it's like even he's scared of like what they've done to the Hulk. But yes, so yeah, the Hydra's gonna shoot him, even though he's just a surgeon at this point. I guess the algorithm said he would be an agitator in the future, so
Yeah. There's
one of
also
the
reference to somebody in Cairo, which
Yes.
me and my friends took at the time to be like a Moon Knight reference.
Yeah.
The Cairo connection,
Yeah,
Khonshu, that kind of... What was the other thing? He said
It was
three...
Hulk.
It's the
Bruce-
mention like a
Bruce
young
Banner.
Bruce Banner, Stephen Strange.
And something in Cairo.
They
Yeah.
mention like a girl in somewhere as well, like a 16-year-old girl, something. And I think there's like an Amadeus Cho possible mention.
Yeah.
He's in
Because
that new
Amadeus
Spider-Man
Cho,
show though.
yeah, and Amadeus Cho, wasn't that his mom in, was it Agents of Shield?
No.
Oh, I'm not quite sure.
Oh,
Like the the doctor, the female doctor in it was called, I think that was
that was
she was
supposed to
called
be them
Cho.
Lincoln. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's definitely in that new Spider-Man animated show,
yeah. Oh
which I
my
haven't
God,
watched
it's
all of yet, but it's good.
okay. Sorry. The first thing that I've seen, and I've typed in Amadeus Cho, is that Logan Kim. Okay, we've seen this film. Logan Kim's in it in Brave New World.
Right, yeah, I did. Yeah, people have been sort of trying to lock Amadeus Cho into a character for a long time.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think they've pulled the trigger on it, but the fans are always on the lookout for like
Mhm.
him showing up.
There's a
Any
lot of
kind of
speculation he's going to
yeah,
be for the Young Avengers.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
But Marvel have just cancelled a bunch of TV shows as
Yeah.
well, so everything's up in the air
I
as
mean,
of
Change
recording.
our timeline.
some articles say cancelled, other articles are like, well, there were never going to be more than
Of one episode.
a one season thing
Yeah.
anyway,
Is that
so it's
is
not really
that like
cancelling.
is that like Blade Runner? Not Blade Runner, man, Blade.
Oh, I don't know where Blade is.
Who
Blade's
knows what Blade
nowhere.
is?
Blade's died on the way back to his home planet or something. Yeah, but I really do like I really want to see the Blade that they said they were going to make, but
I
who
want to see
knows?
Mukush. I want to see Mukush Ali as Blade.
It's coming out in
No.
November. Right. But yeah, so this is where we get fun action fun times where they've got oh actually no, this is where we see Fury come back to life just before
Mhm.
fun action fun times. Where he's
Where,
like,
where is the scene where Bucky and Pierce are talking in Pierce's kitchen?
oh god, I'm not sure exactly, but that's so horrible for the poor cleaning woman.
The poo
Yeah,
cleaning
but that
woman
is one
is.
of my favorite scenes in the film
Yeah,
because it's so sinister and so creepy.
yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's also the fact that I know that actress. She played Barry's wife in Alvida Same Pet, and
Really?
when she walks around the corner because she's Russian, all I can hear is Barry. So that
Um,
I'm totally taken out of that scene
Oh
by
no.
by her just walking in and saying Mr. Pierce, and I'm like Barry.
well, if you don't know that, it's really creepy, especially because
Yeah.
he offers the Winter Soldier a half glass of milk.
Yeah.
It's like,
Like,
I'm like,
what's wrong with the real drink?
what are you doing, sir? Like, why would the super assassin want a glass of milk?
Are you
With
you really
alcohol
are
would
trying
get
to
the
yeah.
alcohol would probably bump the rating or something.
I
But
mean, a
also,
glass of water might have been all
but
right.
also it's very like it's very like stage play that he's
Yeah.
drinking like this much milk in a full-on tall glass. He's like, I
Mhm.
can't spill this on the set.
Yeah.
Like...
You're not your lips are completely closed while you're drinking.
But yeah, that is horrible, and
Yeah, that is
unfortunately the cleaning lady gets it because she saw the Winter Soldier. Which
yeah.
you'd think the Hydra cleaning lady would maybe be an agent, you know, just for
Maybe, but he seemed to be a bit bothered by it. I mean, that was just before he pulled the gun out on her.
yeah.
He was like,
But like
why? Why did you come back?
like Lauren was saying before, it's in a very like, oh, she was the nice pet that I had kind of way, where he's
Yeah.
like, oh, it's such a shame, and then just kills her.
Such a shame. So yes, that happened, and then Samuel L. comes back. Nick Fury comes back from the dead,
Yeah.
which must really mess with Romanoff's head.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone seems fairly okay about it though, and he doesn't get like slapped or anything,
No,
which is
the thing is, I think she might have been bothered by it, but again, at the same time, she understands the life. She gets
Yeah.
it. This is not new to her. Just
yeah.
she might be big peed off that she wasn't kept in the loop, but
Yeah.
again, she will understand that that would be for her protection.
Yeah. And we get a little nod to Bruce saying that he developed whatever the very long chemical he says, which makes your heart go to 1 BPM. It's like, all right. He used
Just hold
ninja
your breath,
focus.
Nick. Just hold your breath.
It's fine.
Yeah, like I guess they didn't want to drop any life model decoy stuff at this point, so they were like, we'll keep it in the spy world, like spy movie fun stuff.
I prefer that though.
Oh yeah. I've never wanted them to get into like life model decoy or like clone stuff or scroll stuff because I think it just muddies the waters. And I don't think there's much room for it in the MCU.
So before that happens, before Fury comes back, we actually, just after the Sitwell bit, the Winter Soldier reappears again, and they have that epic fight on the bridge. And Sitwell gets killed. Oh, thank God. And that is the reveal of the Winter Soldier is Bucky Barnes.
Yes.
Happens right there.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, that because that fight's pretty crazy. It's a lot of gunfire. It's like a friggin' scene from Heat or something.
It's crazy. It's that the shield gets used in a way I never thought it would. It had 3 people on it being used as a way of getting out of a car.
Yeah.
And they literally are like all piled on top of each other. It's very it's so 90s action. Cars, explosions, big birds everywhere.
Real cars as well, which you can tell because they've got like a heft to them, not like CGI cars that just sort of slide around.
And that's the scene with the punch on the shield, which is just spectacular. It's a beautiful shot. But
it's
that's
just
also
such a good scene. Just such a good scene.
But it's also that when he looks directly at him and he's like, Bucky?
Yeah, because his mask comes off. Like he's punched him, he's kind of like acrobated away, and the mask falls. So when
it's because he
turns his head as
grabs
he
him,
comes
isn't it?
back up, the fluff of the hair, it's like, Bucky? What the hell is Bucky?
It's the the emotional gut punch
Yeah.
that Steve receives when he looks him dead in the eye.
But it sucks for him though, because just for doing that, he gets another round of electroshock treatment to try and reset him.
Yeah. Because he's been kind of corrupted in a way, because
a
memory's been given to him. In some not only memory, but something has been said to him which could potentially harm the trigger words that they have been using on him, which we find out later on.
This is not out all of this, and you can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like they don't want any seeds planted on who this guy is. Yeah.
Yeah. So that happens before then that's when you get Maria breaking them out of the car, the armored car.
That part's like, it's really gross. Like obviously it's bad guys, they're supposed to be gross, but I hate it that they're just like, okay, dig three holes, and they're just about to shoot them in the back of a van. I'm just like, it's
a
gross.
bit tasteless, but
I
Maria
really
Hill
hate
was
that,
there.
That Crossbones guy is awful. I know he's supposed to be awful, but he plays a really good part of like, I hate everything about this guy.
Yeah, he did his job right. Frank Grillo did his job right, because we all can't stand him. But it's the name Rumlow.
Yeah.
Like it's a horrible name. But yeah, so the Maria Hill breaks them out. Kobe Smulders in this she's
better.
still not Maria from the comics, but she plays the part she's meant to play. And at this point, she is Nick Fury's right-hand woman.
Yeah. Which is less cheesy as she is in Avengers. I'll give her that.
Oh, absolutely.
Again, I think a lot with the Avengers, so much of it suffers from like that fucking dialogue they have to do.
Yeah.
Like, yes, at the time, I really loved Avengers, but it's similar to how when people are like, the original like Spider-Man, the original Daredevil, the original X-Men, they're not particularly good. representation, barring Spider-Man, particularly good representations of those characters.
Mhm.
Like, did
Yeah,
we enjoy them at the time?
they're like a modern version.
Positively we did, because it's all we had. So when Joss Whedon came and did give us Avengers, I think a lot of it was just like just enjoyed at the time, because we never thought we'd get to see all these characters together on the screen,
Mhm.
raking in millions of pounds
Yeah.
and, being lauded and celebrated and people really enjoying it.
Oh yeah,
So
it was an event. Like
yeah,
when we did the episode, we sort of talked about that a bit.
but
We just
now
never
now
thought
we
it would happen.
Yeah.
now
Yeah,
we
yeah.
look back at it, it definitely isn't as enjoyable as it probably was.
I
I
like
still really like it.
yeah, I think
I still really like it. I still really like it,
I
but
think the
it's kind of,
strength it has is in how all the scenes go really well into each other, but
yeah.
there is some cheesy lines. And it's like every character has to be like the funniest person in the room. So there's a lot of
Yeah.
like
Exactly.
one-upmanship from randos. That's like,
Yeah.
that guy's playing Gallagher, that whole thing. It's kind of
Well, Scarlett Johansson kind of brings that a little bit into this one, especially when they're in the shield bit and she's like, "Do you want to play a game?"
yeah. But he's not even like Cap's
funny,
too
though.
angry. He's
But
too
the
like
fact that the fact that Cap had to put Star Wars and Star Trek on the list, but new war games.
yeah, he had seen that one. Because it's got war in the title.
Yeah, possibly. So Maria's broke them out.
Yeah.
That's when they meet, because she says she'll want to see him first.
Yeah.
And
we're
that's,
like, of course.
yeah, well, yeah, we want to see who it is too. And is this the big ending? Is this the
Yeah, we has to steal his old uniform first. He has a quick detour to the museum.
I really like that old uniform.
I do too.
And that's a great Stan Lee cameo.
It is, yeah. This is our Stan Lee cameo for the episode.
When he like toddles in with a little security guard.
I'm gonna get so fired for this.
He's like old Gil from The Simpsons.
Yeah. But they've even put the shield over the genderless crotch.
Yeah, because Cap's too polite. He's like, I can't leave this mannequin naked.
No. And the shield that I have seen.
Yes.
Yes, I saw that shield in real life. This was, I don't want to say this is something that I've taken for myself, because this is something I watched in a video, but they made a point of saying that the reason he potentially got this suit was because it's what Bucky would remember.
Yeah, I could absolutely buy that.
And he's trying to jog. He's trying to, I don't know if he knows that his friend's brainwashed or what, it's because he didn't know who he was, so he's kind of like want to jog his memory. And I bought into that.
I think it's more, I think that could be an element of it, but I think it's more that he doesn't want to be Hydra's tool.
Mhm.
And his modern suits are a symbol of his ownership by Hydra. And so he wants to go back before when
an easier time for him.
Yeah, when it was like a more pure time, when like
the enemy was more clear.
Yeah, the enemy was more clear, and he knew what he stood for. And
he was a big red guy.
The enemy was on the other side of the line, not behind his line.
Yeah.
So I definitely think Bucky remembering the suit could be a big part of it, but I that's more my take on it.
I'm definitely with you on that one. Because like I said, like he needs to know who he's fighting for.
Yeah. He's going back to his roots.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I believe that if he could have taken his cobbled together leather jacket, his tights.
Oh yes.
That look is my favorite.
Yeah, no, I like that look. That jacket's really
like
suited.
if he could have taken that look, he would have probably taken that look.
Yeah, it's probably something to remind him who he is.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he's been, even though it's only been a couple of years, that couple of years has been enough to be like,
it's been a lot.
And also, this is the rest of his life now. Like, regardless that he's like a 90-year-old man, he's still living in a young man's body.
if he's going to be Captain America, he's going to be his Captain America. He's
His
going to do it
version.
his way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get
It's just a shame he didn't find his Avengers suit, because that's my favorite.
I'm not
The
too
ve-
keen on the
Oh.
Avengers
the
one.
bright one. But no, yeah, so like this is really cool though, because we get our little, yeah, every action movie, it's got to have a rundown. This is our plan. We got 3 target like guidance chips, but we need to install them in all 3 of the helicarriers, or otherwise it's not going to work. So this is our ticking clock. If they get to, if they get to triangulate, the algorithm gets loaded in, we're all done for, because it's going to shoot us. So yeah, and yeah, we just get like absolutely insane action. This is when I was saying, like, for all Falcon is not super powered, he certainly gets in a crazy amount of danger and manages to dodge an insane amount of, like, artillery fire.
He tries his best. Before the God.
So I was going to say, we also have to remember that he's a veteran.
Yeah.
Like, he is going to be used to live fire combat. Like, this isn't like
this
some noob completely thrown in at the deep end. Sure, this is a different level to what he's been used to, but he's a vet. He's seen combat. He knows what the stakes are as well. He understands it fully.
I just don't think the fandoms give him enough credit, because everyone's like, he's not quite as good as Captain America. And it's like, go back and watch Winter Soldier and watch what he does
and tell me that he can't stand his own.
Yeah.
I can't stand people who look at Sam and be like, well, he doesn't deserve He does. He does, because the values that he has comes from a friend that he valued more than anything.
Yeah.
And he will do nothing but to make him proud.
And like, to be honest, Captain, even by the end, he didn't want the title of Captain America. Like, he was effectively Steve Rogers. Like,
he
did. He didn't have the shield.
The comics. He's abandoned the moniker before in the comics because it's been dirtied for him.
When he introduced himself to Groot and he says, "I am Groot," and he goes, "I am Steve Rogers."
Yeah,
he's not introducing himself as Captain America. He is Steve Rogers, so not even he wants it. Fuck the Sam haters. I am here. I am here for Sam. I am here for Sam Wilson.
Sammy loves Sam.
Sounds so weird. I was going to say something and I've totally forgotten. That's going to hurt my brain now. It's okay. I'll figure it out and then I'll just randomly shout something. Where were we?
We're fighting on all of the are we on? Is the Triskelion the building, or is that
the Triskelions the building?
Gotcha.
And
I like that.
The Potomac's the river.
Yes.
And also with Pierce is the council people. They all are with Pierce at this time, as this is all booting off.
Doing his creepy, like, let's all have champagne, everyone. It's definitely not poison.
I do have a thought I really want to come back to about the council, but it's a bit early for us to do so. So just
okay.
Oh, okay.
Table that.
Tabling it. Just want to say it so I don't forget it.
Yeah. But basically, so it turns out the sort of computer brain of these ships is on the bottom underneath like a glass dome. So you get all this cool stuff where, like, Sam's like, having to dodge, like, aircraft jets and stuff, and then they're shooting missiles and he's like running those in. He gets his chip in. I kind of forget how Romanov gets in. Oh no, she's not doing this. So Cap
just leave her for a second.
It's just Cap. So they have to do them all. But yeah, and then so this is where we get some interesting action where they're kind of like, where he's like, I need a lift, Sam, and he's like, okay, tell me when. He's like, I just did, and he's just like falling off the side. I love all of that stuff where they're going like back and forth between the carriers, and like it's just cool when it's like one character can't fly, one can, so they're using like all the tricks, and like Steve's a better like hand-to-hand fighter. Actually, I forgot a line I really like where they're sort of chatting before they do this mission. He's like, when they sort of look at Sam and he's like, don't ask me, I do what he does, just only slower. It's like, I loved all this sequence.
Sam does have some corker lines in this one, in this
Does.
movie. They're not constant like what you will get later on with Sam, but they're just
Yeah.
ever so nicely placed. So yeah, it's booting off. Absolutely booting off.
Hmm.
Everyone's raging. Oh, that was what I was gonna say. We get a Steve Rogers speech.
Yes, once
Oh,
he
Yeah.
busts in, once he kicks out Abed from Community.
hello. I am Steve Rogers. And yeah, he does this amazing speech, basically going to the betterment of people to be able to see past the bullshit and see that what is happening isn't right and fight on the right side. And my God, can that man do a speech?
Yeah.
Like he was absolutely brilliant in that moment because that's when Sharon's like, "Get me gunning." Ugh.
Oh, is she like up? Is she in?
Yeah, Sharon's there,
She's in like
unfortunately.
the
I forgot.
computery Nassery launch room.
Yeah, because Rumlow
She
puts
just like
these
stands up, like
Oh
looking all
yeah,
heroic,
she's
like.
like,
like, I stand with Cap. Anyone
I'm
else? Anyone else?
Spartacus.
Yeah, I'm Spartacus. Yeah.
Captain's orders.
Yeah, because she stops that kid from getting shot.
Yeah.
I'll give her her dues. There is one maneuver she does because Rumlow's just about to get him, and she kicks his chair from underneath him, so he hits
To
the
save
floor.
him. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'll give you that
Yeah.
one, Sharon. That's
But
it.
yeah, it's
She
one of
had
those.
so much
It,
potential. I think Mary Elizabeth Winstead would have like been so good at that casting.
I think, yeah. And I think
Like,
that it's a character that could have been used a lot more, especially if you're going to have Mary with Elizabeth Weinstein as doing it.
Mhm.
Um, that could have been, and I think what they did in Falcon and Winter Soldier with her is get her out.
It was just a
Like,
quick. It was like a really
yeah,
quick sort of
like,
thing, really. Yeah.
oh, here she is. Oh, there she's gone.
mhm.
Oh, now
Get
maybe
out,
she's a
Emily
big
Van
bad,
Camp.
but maybe
Yeah,
we'll
oh,
never
she's
see her
evil.
again.
Yeah,
It could have
get
been
out.
cool if they'd actually just like done something really different to that, but
Don't
they
get
didn't.
me
Yeah.
They
Don't get
didn't.
me wrong. I want to make this very clear. This is not me hating on Emily Van Camp as much as I don't think just don't think she's that great of an actress. The actual character of
Yeah.
Sharon Carter, I cannot stand. I have never been able to stand as a comic book reader, so
Mhm.
I just want to make that very clear.
That's
I
all right.
don't like
Cap's
comic
got
Sharon.
many comic female characters who kind of come into his
Yeah,
periphery, not even as like love interests,
no,
but there's like
she.
way more interesting female characters in his like
More. We are more.
sidekicky, you know,
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
And
I couldn't agree more.
what I
like
do really like
Spitfire,
is
for
this
instance.
this speech is like pure Cap, where
Yeah,
he's
Mhm.
like, well,
heart, it's soul, it's
yeah, and just the way he's like, I'm willing to bet there's a few more of you who feel the same way, and he's like, but if it
yeah.
is just me, then that's fine as
And
well.
that's
Like
it.
it's
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's
yeah,
okay. I'll take this one, guys. I'll take this
yeah.
one
Mhm.
for the
He
team.
does.
Yeah.
That's why we love him so much
Yeah,
because he
Yeah,
always does
absolutely.
the thing for
yeah,
us.
yeah. He will like yeah. That speech is so good. And after the speech, that's when it kicks off. Wow, that really was hurting my brain. I was like, I
It's
know
okay.
something happens before it
Mhm.
kicks off, and it's Steve's
Yeah.
speech. And I felt like I needed to mention. Now it kicks
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
Yes.
And unfortunately that does set like you were saying Crossbones in action where he's like, start the launch now, like holding a gun to that poor kid's head. The only trouble is like he does try and stop it, which is like awesome. Steve inspired him to like,
Yeah,
stand his ground.
Mhm.
The problem is Rumlow knows how to start the launch himself,
Yeah.
apparently, in the middle of a firefight, which is genuinely impressive. He's like ducking bullets and being like,
he's good. I'll
yeah.
give him that. He's good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, this is where you get all those sad shots of like the shield guards who aren't evil kind of clicking on what's
Yeah.
happening, but then just getting like gunned down, and you're like, oh, come on,
Oh.
guys.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let Hydra get all the wins.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Yeah, you're right.
I
Yeah.
just feel bad for all the poor shieldies who
Yeah.
are
I mean,
taken
it's
for
not saying they had to die, but
Yeah.
No.
I don't think it's one of those things where if it was just Hydra on those and it was just bad people, it wouldn't have had the same weight or impact
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
horror to it.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes back to like when they catch like trouble for that later on and they're
Yeah.
effectively on trial for it. Like
Mhm.
if it had just been Hydra, they'd like faked out some accident, like, oh, there was a failure at launch and it just imploded, and sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
Yeah.
This way we get like, hostages that need to be saved at the same
Mhm.
time as like,
Yeah.
Just add an extra element in there, just
oh
to,
yeah.
it's not hard enough. Let's just
Mhm.
add extra in. Once, because in Steve's speech, he does tell everyone the plan. Like, he tells everyone the truth. Like, there's
Mhm.
no secrets now. Hydra, Shield, you're all fucked. Steve's just told everyone everything. And this is where Fury goes to Pierce, who has the council with him.
Mhm.
And this is where it all boots off in the room
Yeah.
and is revealed that Sister Julianne is actually Black Widow.
After she does some cool
See,
fight moves.
yeah, I was so, this is what I wanted to say earlier. I was so disappointed that that was Natasha.
That wasn't
Yeah,
Jenny.
because it would have been fun if the
Yeah,
councilwoman
like,
was like
so in my poor little comic lover of all teams in unimportant, I really wanted this to be some version of Spitfire, who, for those who don't know,
Oh.
is a character from the Invaders, who was Cap's team of renegades, kind of like a Howling Commandos, but superheroes.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
written in the 70s, but it was based in the 40s in the war. And Spitfire was a young British superheroine, basically.
Mhm.
And she was posh as well. So I just remember, thought, oh my god, is this Jacqueline? And
Yeah,
it
that would have
wasn't,
been
and
a
I was
fun
heartbroken.
reveal. Yeah. No, that would have been a fun reveal if it was like,
Yeah.
oh well, I didn't get to this council position for nothing.
Exactly. But it
Yeah.
made sense that Black Widow infiltrated her way in, because that would
Yeah.
have been a deadly situation for Nick to go
Yeah.
into on his
Yeah.
own.
He
He
needed
needed
somebody.
backup.
Nick gets a
And
cool helicopter and
Mhm.
walking through the doors intro
Mhm.
with his cool coat and his little arm. That's all broken.
yeah, it's all broken
Unfortunately.
up.
Yeah.
But he gets his payback.
Yeah.
Mhm.
This is I did think this was like an interesting exchange though, because it's not like pure super villain, super good guy. It's very much like two friends who are
Yeah.
like what the hell, man? I
But
respected you. And he's like, I
Yeah.
respected you.
yeah, they
But
And the
wouldn't
then
be
last time you
friends
crossed
though.
me,
And
look what happened.
yeah.
this again plays into what I was saying earlier about Pierce and him being so in deep in his conviction
Mhm.
Yeah.
and his beliefs that he would be straight up to the end. Like,
Yeah.
that's just like the fiber of his being, is like he believes in Hydra and the message of Hydra, and he doesn't see it as bad
And I
because
think
it's what he believes. He's not
and I
like
think
a
Yeah.
cackly villain. He's like, well, yeah, this is what I believe. This is how the world's going to be a better place.
Yeah.
yeah, and I think in like a lesser movie he would have escalated to that like evil villain monologue, like
Oh
and
yeah.
gotten
Oh
more
yeah,
and
for
more
real.
crazy.
And did that
Uh,
really crazy laugh.
yeah.
But
And
Natasha.
this is where it's revealed as well that Nick Fury has the ultimate override, which is his hidden scratched out eyeball, which apparently overrides all other clearance in Shield.
Pity he didn't think to use that earlier on, but never mind. And that's when that's when Romanoff, Natalia, however way you want to say her name. Actually, this is the first time you ever hear a full name in Marvel.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. She starts to leak classified information. So
Yeah.
it's like, you are all effed right now.
Mhm.
Yeah, and they do this whole like weird thing where they're like, but then they'll find out about you, Natasha. And it's like, at this point, is that really like important
Yeah.
in the grand
With
scheme?
Am I
everything
meant
that's
to
going to be
care?
released, yeah, and
Yeah.
everything that's going to be released, do you think my
Yeah.
ledger is going to mean jack shit in comparison to this?
It's literally
gushing.
like, I'm above it, though.
Oh, I hate that line so much.
I know you
Like,
hate that too.
Oh, it makes my toes curl.
look, can you imagine having the name and growing up through all that?
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
above it.
Yeah, I'm a puppet. Yeah,
Sorry.
she doesn't care. She doesn't care. And to be honest, I feel like this is quite a growth for her because it's like it's something bigger than her.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Like remember in Avengers, she had a ledger to clear.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Now-
Joss Whedon and Natasha would have completely cared.
Yeah.
She would have
Oh
shed
yeah,
a
you're
tear.
probably right. She probably was like, she'd be like, no, let's not do
Yeah.
this. Let's leave it.
Redacted.
Redacted. Yep. That big black pen written out all
Yeah,
them
just there
lines.
for Sharpie, scribbling it all out.
It's like when they said they were going to release the GFK files, and it literally is a white bit of paper with black lines all the way down. There's nothing there for us to read. Anyways,
yeah. So I can't quite remember if I think they need the retinal scan thing is that to release the information, because I don't think it doesn't seem like that's related to the ships, because the ships are going up independently and
I
almost
think the
get
ships are going up
activated.
no matter what.
Yeah,
they're going up. It's more, it uses Pierce to unlock the Shield's database.
yeah, okay.
So Romanoff can do her thing. But then
Nick
Guffle.
sends it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then Nick shoots Pierce.
Mhm.
He's gone. He's dead. He's on the floor.
Yeah, because he does explode the rest of the council and almost blows up Natasha, because surprise, surprise, the little badges he gave everyone was a trap.
Yeah.
Not the champagne. But
No.
apparently, if you watch carefully, Natasha doesn't drink the champagne in obviously
She is not
preparation for maybe it's poison.
That, and she also has a electronical mask over her face.
True,
Yeah.
maybe
So
that would've
maybe
stopped
putting
it.
liquid to it might not be a good idea.
Yeah,
Indeed.
but luckily she thinks on to zap herself with one of her own little Black Widow thingies.
Yes.
And she's like, oh, that sucks.
So Pierce is dead and Bucky's back.
His last words.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I know it doesn't happen for a few
Yeah.
a bit, like it cuts back to him and he's just dying on his own on the floor, and just like the Hail Hydra, it's
Yeah.
everything just
Little-
falls apart.
Little squirp.
But yeah, this is where Bucky and Steve go at each other, but then
Yeah.
Steve gives in.
Yeah.
Well, he does
So-
knock him. He knocks him off
Yeah.
the side of the helicopter first, and then rips Sam's wings off, which
Yeah.
is horrible for him.
Yeah, it's the way. Do you know what? It's the way he grabs one of his wings, and it's almost like a bug. Like he literally has just picked a bug up and just went, "Oh, what are you?"
Yeah,
like,
he doesn't see it's a
no.
person.
Yeah, but it's that grab. It's I don't like it.
And luckily, he gets his
Feral.
parachute off, but it's like
Feral.
right at the last
Good word.
second though, so he
Mhm.
probably gets dumped on the floor.
Yeah,
This film never lets you relax when the action scenes
No.
are happening.
it honestly it doesn't.
So-
But this. Oh, go on.
No, go on, you go on.
No, go on.
No,
I-
this is, if we're talking about that final fight scene, I've
Mhm.
actually got it's not a funny story, but so I have an autoimmune disease and I was in the waiting room for a hospital admission. And this happened to be on the TV in the waiting room. And
Really?
I was
Nice.
just sat there in it was like 10 p.m. at night. I was wearing a pair of Captain America pajamas. Just watching this scene crying.
Yeah.
Just like, everybody else just
That
like,
would be me. That literally
are
be
you
me as well.
okay?
Are you? Yes, I'm totally fine. It's just why I'm here in hospital, and I'm totally great.
It's
It's got
like
nothing to do with what's on the telly.
Yeah. So you've probably got an emotional
Yeah.
moment linked to this forever
Yeah.
now.
And-
Oh, that's great.
Like I said, I'd seen this film in the cinema like 8 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No idea how many times I'd watched it between then
Oh.
and like the waiting room thing. But
Yeah.
it's
There's so many. There's so
it
many
just hits
movies in
every
my back.
time.
So many movies in my back catalogue that I'll watch 100 times over, and I'll cry 100 times every time I watch them.
Mhm.
I've just been watching The Big Bang Theory, and I need to start crying at that.
I've noticed I've become a crier. It happens in your
Ugh.
mid-30s, doesn't it? It's like
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, I
the
used to be
problem
hard
is
as
once you
nails.
start,
Completely
once you
hard as
start, you kind of
nails.
stop.
Up until
Fine.
about my mid-30s, the only thing that ever really made me cry was All Dogs Go to Heaven.
Oh
Don't
yeah.
get me
that'll
started
get
The
on
end
me.
of
that. That's the movie I had to be physically removed from as a child.
I was gonna
because
say
I
it.
was
I-
hysterical.
I was gonna say I thought I remembered like your parents like being
my
like this
auntie.
movie doesn't exist.
Yeah.
That in the end it had to be like that because my auntie took me to go and see it, and I was so hysterical at it. I had to be picked up
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
taken out of the cinema and placed in Burger King for it to actually calm me down. I didn't stop crying over that movie for
And
months.
I bet the writers were like,
Uh,
yes, pure
we
cinema.
got her. We got her.
Well,
Yeah, this is
that
why.
that film could probably have a whole thing because
Yeah.
the story behind that film is just like really, really sad.
Yeah, I think I've
Well,
talked about it on
Sam's not
Monsters
allowed
before.
to watch it to
I
this
can't.
day,
I know the stories of it, and I know about Judith Barcy and
Yeah.
the final scene. But yeah, stuff like that breaks my heart. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm a big old crier.
Luckily, there's no
Anyway,
animals are harmed in this movie to make us
Thank
cry.
God.
and
Thank
no
God.
falcons were harmed in Captain America: The Winter Soldier either.
Yes.
No, absolutely
Yeah.
not. He was
He's all
totally
right.
fine.
And Red Wing's
Um,
a robot now, so
oh,
we're in no
love
danger.
Thank God.
love Red Wing.
I love Red Ring too.
So I love that Bucky, even though he's a super assassin, he still has a flair for theatrics because he's standing right in front of the console looking all cool on the
Yeah.
bridge. So they get the cool, like, meeting each other moment, like eye to eye and everything. But yeah, like this fight is proper brutal. And it's like another movie, like other movies when they do the whole like brainwashed friend routine, because like let's face it, it's like it's an overused trope, but it's good.
Yeah.
We all like it. Like Bucky doesn't really break until like the
No.
very end, and it's
Mhm.
almost like he breaks like too late, like way too late
Yeah.
to have any kind of
Like,
like reconciliation.
He's already
Yeah.
beat the living F out of Steve, and the helicarrier is literally about to crash.
Yeah.
Like, they aren't waiting. It's
No.
not like, oh, in the nick of time, and they got magic to
No.
safety. They were
Yeah.
fine.
No,
And
he is.
they had tea and cake.
I mean, that'd be nice. But it's not
messed
until
up in this.
it's not until like the very last bit where they're in the water and Bucky brings them out. That's like that.
Yeah,
that was it.
But even then, he goes. He leaves.
Oh yeah, he leaves
Steve
them, but
Can't face it. Yeah,
but he
But
could
he
have
goes. Like,
he
he's
could have
gone.
quite easily taken him out, threat over with. You're done and dusted. I move on. But instead, he just pulls him out the water. And I know he doesn't know his fate, but in his eyes, okay, he's done something. That is something that he probably wouldn't have done an hour ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. That's one.
It does, because.
Oh no, go. Sorry.
That's to say, no, it totally does make sense, because if he'd just been left in the water, he'd have just drowned.
Yeah, he would have just let him drown.
Been done.
But he didn't.
He's probably aware enough that if he leaves them on the banks, then he's going to be picked up by.
He's got more of a chance being picked up on the banks than he had being stuck in the water. So there's a fighting chance there, regardless of how it turns. He probably doesn't care how it turns out, but he's done it. He's done his bit, and I'm gonna go. Ta-da.
Yeah,
bye, Bucky.
So it's just like ballsy how they do that, because like you were saying, Lauren, like other films would be like he would say a key phrase and he'd be like, Steve, like
but they didn't even rely on that.
They'd have hugged it out.
But they didn't even rely on that trope, did they? They really took it to the end.
And it's horrible, like the way he's just like screaming, like punching away at him and stuff. Like when it's clear that like even though Steve isn't quite like undoing the brainwashing, he's at least like shaking the foundations of like everything.
But he's very much letting Bucky, beat him up, batter him, because he just has so much faith in his friend being somewhere in there.
Yeah, and plus like he doesn't like, I wouldn't say he's like pulling his punches, because he does obviously try to like incapacitate him, so he doesn't actually have to continue fighting. but he's very much like he's not gonna, punch him to death on the floor. Like Steve
No.
would never do that.
Mm.
So it's a very
No,
uneven
absolutely
fight
not.
because one is going for the absolute kill and the other is like obviously pulling punches in a little way.
Yeah.
But yeah, the way he just like shoots him as well, like 3 times as he's trying to put the chip in, and the timer's like, 10 seconds, and we're all like sat there being like, come on, Steve, you can do it. But it's awful. Like I said, there's no moment to relax until like everything's
No.
like actually done. And you get a little wink and nod to some Star Wars when he's like, "You may fire when ready," with his stupid thing, and then they're like, "Huh? How comes there's only 3 targets now?" And all the ships shoot each other because the goodies win. Sort
Yay!
of. It's definitely one of those bittersweet endings though, because it's not actually a good thing that Shield got taken over from the
No?
inside and
No.
they had to kill everyone.
No, it's technically the end of Shield. The
Yeah.
end of, we believe it's the end of Hydra. But this, you see Natasha go to Capitol Hill and basically give the middle finger to the government.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she's like, you're not getting rid of us. You're not getting rid of me. You're not getting rid of them. Because guess what? Fuckers, you're gonna need us.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
really like the line of like, you can put me in prison, then you'll know exactly when to find me, sort of
Yeah.
thing. It's like,
Yeah.
but yeah, I do find some of this stuff a little odd when they're like what is the life of Natasha Romanoff like, really? Like they never really get into it. Like when she's not doing Avengers missions, like is she a US citizen? Is she like,
Let's just keep it under wraps. We don't need to know. I think
Yeah.
the best thing about me best thing about Natasha for me is anytime I picked up a book, she's just in the thick of it.
Yeah, in a different place.
There's no, I don't need to know about her life story. I don't need to know where she lives, what she eats for her dinner. She is just in the thick of a mission and you are on it with her.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm happy that her backstory of, is a secret. Don't need to know.
Yeah, I'm just
That.
curious how the U.S. Senate or whatever can even pull her in for anything, because she really just like
Where
a
she
Russian
hasn't got a
national.
home address. It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an
we'll just send
international
a,
incident waiting to happen.
we'll just send a smoke signal out. Black Widow
Yeah.
needed.
Yeah.
And then she'll
But
come
yeah,
with like the
so
bat signal.
so now we've got like everyone kind of parting ways as far as we're aware.
Apart from
Yeah.
the two
And
new
then
besties.
Yeah.
2 new besties, because
But they have to meet first at the
Nick's-
gravestone.
Nick's grave.
Yes.
I love
Yes,
Nick's
with
line
his,
where he's like,
Pulp Fiction reference.
Yes.
Yes.
It has his Bible quote on.
yes, he's
Mhm.
that was very clever. But I love Nick's line where he goes, if anyone asks for me, this is where you can find me, and just walks off. There's actually a few good lines in this bit, good few bits of dialogue. Steve and Natasha's goodbye, that's a bit but it's when Falcon Sam says,
Yeah.
you're going after him, aren't you? And he's like, you don't have to come with us.
Yeah.
And it's like that pause, and they've missed a bit of a treat here because Steve's looking down, and he just goes, when are we going? And then instantly the movie finishes. If Steve's eyes just looked up for a second and hit the camera, that would have been absolutely perfect. But Steve is still looking down, like his eyes don't leave the bottom. But if he just as Sam said, when are we going?
Yeah.
And because the
I don't
credits
know,
come up straight away. I wish he just looked up to the camera. And I don't like a fourth wall break.
Yeah. But I liked that Sam was like the focus in that sense.
Yeah.
Because he said the line and it had quite the impact, but I liked that he was the one still looking up. So
Well, actually, Sam's actually more looking towards the side. So
okay.
if Steve looked up and looked at the camera, you would that would have looked. Oh, I don't know. I just thought that would have looked perfect. But again, I'm not a big fan of fourth wall breaks because they actually freak me out a bit. So maybe if that did happen, I would have been.
There's some characters theory
Don't.
it works with, and other
Don't
places
assemble.
it doesn't work.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, sorry.
No, it's
I
good.
take it all back. I don't want it to happen.
No, get them back for reshoots. Come on.
10 years later. Um, before we mention the end credit scenes, we are actually hitting this at such a quite a good time. Because on the 8th of March, for us UK folks, this movie turns 10 years old. This movie, it was released on the 8th of March 2014 for us UK, and it didn't hit the US until April.
Yes. When Sammy texted me this like earlier, I was like, really? They didn't have worldwide releases? But then I remembered, because I used to be part of like nerd groups with like a lot of Americans in, they were like
You?
terrified of us because
Yeah.
we'd seen the movie
We were
first.
the ones who were going to spoil everything. It wasn't until Endgame where we all had the release at the same time.
Yeah.
I remember because I did my trailer reaction for Endgame, and we announced that we literally just missed out on the Russo's footage grab for trailer reactions. One of our
Right.
videos hit one of the criterias, but the application had already been but it had already been done,
Oh.
and it was our Black Panther review video. We hit every criteria, views, um, comments, likes, like everything was met, and we were just too late. So we could have been. They did a whole big compilation
Yes.
of trailer reactions from Iron Man 2, Endgame, and my Endgame trailer still to this day has 75,000 views and still gets views. It was years ago. People, stop watching it.
Should we upload these videos to that channel? And see? We'd love
Still
those
have
kind of
access
views
to
over here.
it.
Um, yeah, like but this obviously does set us on the path to more adventures, more super
Yeah.
teams,
Yeah.
more everything. But I do quite like how grounded and sort of, just a few characters, just a few locations. Like, I
Yeah.
really enjoy this as like a palate cleanser between all of the
Mm,
like
yes.
craziness that we're about to get into.
Yeah.
Um,
This was such a movie that was needed at the time.
yeah.
I know we've had our feelings have been changed a little bit on Iron Man 3 and Thor,
Mhm.
especially
Like
with
them more, yeah.
Older Eyes. I That's the only thing I
Yeah.
can explain because I remember at the time this was make or break. Like
Yeah.
you don't do well with this movie, we don't do Marvel anymore. Like we are
Yeah.
like this was me and my husband. Like we aren't watching this anymore. We are done. And
Yeah.
then this one, like it changed. I feel like, and I think I've said this many times before. This is the movie that changes the game because
Mhm.
this is the bar. This is where you are set at. And I know Guardians would have already been filmed, and I feel like Guardians would have done well regardless if this one didn't. I just because James Gunn is that good at what he
Mhm.
does. But when it follows on like Age of Ultron, Civil War, that you are hitting this bar to try
Mhm.
and reach at.
Yeah, I think you're right as well because the Guardians trailer was really good, and that goes a long way with getting people butts in seats. But yeah,
It's one of my favorite movie trailers.
yeah,
And it's one that if I'm in a sad mood, I will because I can hear it in my head and I can hear the soundtrack and the beats and yeah, it's what I always go back to.
what a bunch of a-holes.
Yeah. But that's for the next time. We're still
Yeah.
in this one, and we have two end credit scenes.
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Which the in hindsight and thinking about the entire movie as a whole, the actual end one is more impactful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
Absolutely.
first we get, is it Baron von Strucker? Am I right
it's
with that?
Baron Wolfgang von Strucker.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of Baron Vons and stuff
Yeah.
in
Well,
comic
we're invaded
books.
European countries at this point, so
Yeah,
they're all the same.
Yeah. So yeah, we get some more so the basically outlining that this is another Hydra base. Apparently the one they sent Loki's scepter to,
yeah.
which goddamn,
Mhm.
they should have maybe kept a closer eye on that one.
Loki's
Um
pokey stick is back.
Yay.
yeah. Which is it the Mind Stone technically? Is
We
that
had
where
this
we're at?
conversation last time, and I think we
Uh,
said mind.
Possibly.
Yes, because
It's hard to tell because they obfuscate the colors, don't they? Like switch them
Yeah.
around because they're like
Yeah.
encased in things and
But
stuff.
then the stone that comes out of the scepter isn't the same color as like the
The one
orb
that
that
goes
it's
in
in
vision.
either, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah,
This is a
regardless.
different color when
We'll,
it pops out
we'll
of that
figure that
egg
out when it
thing.
comes
Yeah.
to it.
So we're led
Yeah,
to believe
fine.
like that they've possibly used these to like experiment on the twins and
The
maybe
twins.
unlock some latent
I thought
abilities.
of them just mutants.
Oh yeah, they call them miracles,
know.
which for a lot of the time the fans were like, "Oh well, the miracles now." And that's the new name for mutants, but that didn't stick. Luckily,
No, it didn't. Thank God. But they just class them
That's
as the
delightfully
twins here.
ironic.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. The you see the superhuman speed and you see wonder for the first time. How did we could we ever imagine that character
Right.
being as impactful as she ends up being?
No, I didn't at the time.
And popular. Like, my God.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Quicksilver.
exactly. And then the last
Bloody waste.
Oh, yeah. I just want to say as well, like this was definitely a moment where I was like, "Oh, cool! It's Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch." But my
Yeah.
knowledge of
I was
them,
excited for Quick.
like my knowledge of them, comes almost exclusively from X-Men Evolution, like the cartoon show.
To be fair, it could be worse. It could have come exclusively from the Ultimates comic where they were banging while their
Oh
dad
no!
Wolverine watched in the bushes.
Oh no, I don't like
Oh,
that.
that is grim.
I was just saying the other week I might get into Ultimates comics, but
Maybe not now.
Get into
I'll-
the modern Ultimates comics. It's
I'll
fine.
pick.
There's
Yeah,
a new release thing, and it's actually really good.
yes. Is that Ultimates? Is that one
Yes.
called? Yeah.
There's Ultimates, Ultimate X-Men, which is Peach Momoko's doing that one. So it's X-Men, but different, set in Japan. It's very interesting, very different. Then there's Ultimate Spider-Man, Ultimate Black Panther, and Ultimate Wolverine, which is brand new, which is very cool, very dark, very different, and very pertinent to the theme of this episode.
Ooh, nice.
It's only an issue 2.
Okay. But yeah, then we get our full-on last credit scene, which is little old Bucky going back to that museum again.
Poor Bucky
I think
looking sad.
I think it's the Smithsonian they say officially.
Yeah,
it would make sense.
Smithsonian.
Yeah.
He's looking at his own exhibit, I think.
It's his picture. It's the and then it's at the end. It's like, and Bucky Barnes is presumed dead.
Yeah, Sergeant. What was it? James Buchanan Barnes.
I love that
Sergeant
name.
James
by the way,
Buchanan Barnes.
Yeah,
I love that name. The Buchanan part. Yes, I do like that. So that ends the movie.
Yeah. I don't think I sat in the cinema to see that bit.
Well, apparently I didn't sit long enough today to see it. I text Jake and I was like, "Is there one or two end credit scenes here?" And he was like, "There's 2." And I went, "Oh well, I've missed one. I've been to the toilet and it must have been on."
Yeah.
So he had to remind me what it was.
I definitely stayed for that one.
8 times.
8 times? Did you say 8 times?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
yeah, each time.
So this is the part where I would normally give you a recommendation or what comic book inspired it. I'm flat out just going to tell you anything by Ed Brubaker. I can't even say his name. Brubaker is the inspiration behind this movie and is what I would suggest if you are going to go on a Cap journey, start with him. Start with Ed's version of Cap because that it helps you not understand Cap, but it runs the Captain America you get here is what you will find running through them comic pages. If you like this version, you are going to love them. I really enjoyed the all Captain America back. I haven't read comics in a long time. I am so far behind. I couldn't even it would take me a lot, but I remember all new, all different series that came out. and I think that and the Secret Invasions, that's where my review time came in. Like, I had to do a lot of work, a lot of reading, and a lot of reviews. But I always remember the Captain America one sticking with me because it's Sam Wilson.
Alternatively, if it's not quite your cup of tea for comics yet, Ed Brubaker's done a lot of noiry, crimey, spy stuff from Image Comics. So
Oh,
definitely check out stuff like Fatal and Fade Out and oh my God, did he do Velvet?
I'll find out for you if you want. I
Sorry,
have
can you
Google.
Google?
I can Google it. Of course I can. Ed Brubaker.
And obviously check out Winter Soldier, the comic.
Yes.
Oh yeah, don't get that's
Absolutely.
And
yes,
and
it
that
was.
character was so popular, I believe he's stuck around for quite a while and had his own runs and things like that.
Yes,
Oh,
it was
absolutely. He's yes,
How
Velvet's a
much?
great one. Is it
Sorry.
valuable?
I'm sorry, £78 for a graphic comic. You
Is it the omnibus though?
It wasn't that long.
It's the
Must be out of
deluxe.
print.
It's the deluxe edition. To be honest,
It'll be out of print.
he brought out the compendium for Winter Soldier a few years ago, and the price on that, oh, if I just had stupid money, like
Yeah.
and I always go and have a look now and again just to see, like, especially with vintage being a thing, and it never
Yeah.
used to be because eBay, it's just ridiculous prices. But I always go on vintage just to have a look, just have a see if does anyone have that edition of Winter Soldier? And no, they don't, because it's a really beautiful
Thing
looking
is,
book.
if it's out of print,
I know.
you're not going to get it for a damn price,
I
unfortunately.
know, and it's so sad.
The sad side of comics.
Unless someone's parents sell all the stuff while they've gone away to university, and you get
Yeah.
lucky.
I mean, my mother did that with my toys.
It happens to other people. I've never been lucky enough to get an actual deal.
So
yeah, we did it, guys.
We did it. Winter Soldier.
Yay.
Winter Soldier in the. Sorry, I must move my laptop once I'm done with it. I don't know why. I'm so sorry. I could just wait until the end.
It's how you reset at the end.
It's what I did. It's what I do every Sunday as well. As soon as I'm finished with it, I'm like, right, you can go over there now.
You can relax now.
Uh-huh.
But hell yeah, Winter Soldier, it's still good.
Yeah.
It's still the best.
Out.
It's still the best. Me and Jake have had like very interesting conversations today.
Yeah. It's been good though, because we thought we knew Cap, but we
I
learned
know.
some new stuff with this movie.
Makes you really look into the person who he is and realize that, because I think we remember the most recent movies better than what we do these ones, and it makes you realize he's never changed. He really hasn't changed. Maybe a few things have changed in regards to in dropping the Cap name and using Steve Rogers, little bits, but in the grand scheme of him, he really hasn't changed. He doesn't waver from who he is.
And like he's always wanted to, like, he's always been the man out of time. Like he never really settles in the modern world, which is obviously proven by how he jumps at the chance to go back. But but he doesn't like let that make him angry, which I think is really good. He does get frustrated like sometimes about
he's never bitter about it.
Not for too long.
But if he's angry, he takes out on like the punching bag.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Kind of thing. Like he doesn't take it out on other people. Kind of thing.
Yeah, because I think we talked about it in Avengers. He's a bit sassy at the start, but obviously that's him. Like he just woke up, like we're presuming maybe weeks before.
Also, Joss Whedon
doesn't understand him.
It's just Joss Whedon.
He didn't get it. He didn't get it. Boy, next time we're here, next time we're sitting here, going into space, Jake.
We're going it's time for space. We're gonna be hooked on a feeling.
2015 was just like such a year though.
2014.
24.
Oh, did these hit in the same year?
Same year. You got this came out in the March, and the summer blockbuster was Guardians of the Galaxy, which is crazy. You got these two mammoths come out in the same year.
It was a good time. A good
It
time
was
to be
brilliant.
a
It
movie
was the
watcher.
best time. It was the best. It's one of my favorite years. Not just movies, like my whole everything changed for me in this year.
Like
that's cool.
it was nice weather as well, if I remember correctly.
I was indoors most of the time reading comic books and playing video games. So
I was walking to the cinema to see Captain America.
you didn't walk?
Yeah,
Oh,
true.
Yeah, there's a cinema. I live in the middle of Birmingham, don't I? There's a cinema around the corner from me.
Oh man, we gotta take a car and everything.
We do, but I don't think we've said it on podcasts, or definitely not this one. But we did see the new Captain America together, so that was nice.
Yep, our pact is still strong.
And it gets a big red thumbs up from me.
I did have every intention because we went to Cinemax. We went to Cineworld, and they were like, they had the popcorn buckets, the Red Hulk one and the thingy one, and they were like £25-30. I was like, no. I know. My days of popcorn buckets are gone. I do have my Age of Ultron one, which I will be bringing for Age of Ultron. But I bought 2 of the novelty cups, and I was meant to bring them tonight and just keep swapping between the 2 of them without seeing anything. And I totally forgot I picked my Miyogi up. So I ruined that.
They're collector's items now. You can't drink out of them.
They're in my cupboard in the kitchen. Like, open my cupboard up for like a tea bag, and there's my cups.
Actually, quickly, Lauren, how do you feel about novelty popcorn buckets? Because
I love them, but I don't love the price bracket of them.
£25.
Yeah.
And you know what she had the cheek to say as well, the woman? She was like, and that doesn't include popcorn.
Yeah.
And I was like,
look, if I'm paying 25 quid for a bucket, I want my popcorn free.
And the drink. Like
Jar Jar didn't even cost me £25.
I swear, every time I look over it, it looks like a WD-40 can, but I know it's a Jar Jar.
Oh, this?
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, the man who I got it off hates us because it was right at the top of the shop. Like, literally had to go and get ladders to go and get it. It was a quid odd.
We shouldn't have put it there.
Yeah, it should have been all the way up there.
He probably thought, what mug's gonna come in and buy that?
Okay, so what's everyone's predictions then for future Marvel popcorn buckets?
Okay. What's the next movie?
There's what you're kind of asking the wrong person, because I'm like the niche, dumb, but I have the stupid ideas of things. I'm not like selling to the generic market here, so I'm the worst person to ask.
Dr. Doom's face and the popcorn falls out of the mouth slit sometimes.
They are getting very creative with the
his
popcorn
gauntlet
buckets.
Is the drink, and he gets to drink out of his thumb.
Yes. Okay, let's get these ideas down, and we will post them to Marvel HQ.
Yeah.
I do like the Doom one though.
Amorphous black suit Spider-Man goo that you hold your popcorn in.
Sue Storm's force field bubble.
Yeah, they could do that.
Iridescent popcorn bucket.
The things underpants.
Ben Grimm's head.
Literally. Yeah, Ben Grimm's head is definitely.
They did it for Red Hulk.
No, I don't. Yeah, but I don't. There's something unnatural about reaching inside of somebody to eat popcorn out of them that I don't like.
Yeah, but when they're an unnatural looking person, it works.
Fine. Okay.
Yeah. There you go. Logic.
Just use the same mold. Just recolor it.
Logic.
Can Mr. Fantastic pass me my drink from the lobby to my seat?
Look, if it's Pedro Pascal passing me anything, I don't care what he's giving me. I'm taking it.
Yeah, I really can't wait. July can't come soon enough. I mean, it can in a way, because I don't particularly want to turn 42, but at the same time, I really want this movie to come out.
I don't even like the Fantastic Four, but
I love the Fantastic Four.
I really love the casting.
Hang on though, Galactus's head as a bucket. Now that's something you could eat out of.
Oh, yeah. I don't care. No. I'm buying that.
Galactus's head is going to be like one of those combo things where part of it is your drink and part of it is the popcorn bucket,
Oh,
and you
Well, you're just selling it to us even more now. I
Like out of
want
the
that.
gotta sip out
horns.
the spiky bits.
Yes.
The spiky bits of the straws. Oh my god!
Yeah.
Exactly.
Let's make this
Just
happen,
you
people.
drink out of them.
And me and Sammy have to drink out of it.
Just share it.
Okay.
Are we still
Yep.
recording?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you want us to take our $1 million idea off? Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I mean, bloopers, of course.
Right. But yeah, so that's our future then. But yeah, thanks so much for joining us, Lauren.
Yes.
It's been an
Thank you.
absolute
Welcome.
pleasure to have the expertise of the comic store.
Just any,
And
if you need anybody else for any others, just let me know.
Oh, yeah, you're in the
Oh.
dossier now, so
Yeah. Or any of the
Jake's
future.
got your number now. He knows where you're at.
I've got my spreadsheet that has everyone's personal information in and whereabouts.
I mean, if you do the TV shows as well, I'll happily come along for Daredevil.
Yeah, we're not sure what to do with those yet, but we might do like a mini thing if we can.
Yeah, we've just got the most important thing is movies.
Yeah,
leading up to Doomsday. But obviously we might have, you don't know what Marvel's going to do. Might change things. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But next time it is Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes.
Is it just me and you?
I'm going to try and get some special guests.
Okay.
We might get our resident giant man guitar extraordinaire.
That's right. That's why I put a question mark, because I wasn't too sure if it was our very own Groot.
And Nerdfest's coming up, so we need to be plugging that on the channels and everything.
Exactly.
So yeah, we'll see. We might get a cast of a-holes together for the next one.
If not, you'll just have these two a-holes. So it's all good. It's all good. We really don't know how to end this, Lauren. So just watch how awkward this gets.
No, I know how to end it.
Go on then.
The concept is that we say the next movie, and then depend on how excited we are, that tailors how the ending is said. So for Guardians of the Galaxy, that is let's fucking go with maximum excitement.
Let's fucking go. Well, let's go then. Let's go.
Yeah, let's
go. Excelsior.
Yeah. Bye everyone.
Bye everyone. Stay nerdy everyone. Bye.